Good morning and welcome to everyone here on the venue and all of those of you listening in at home on worldrowing.com. I'm Jillian O'Mara, joined in the tower with Regula Schweitzer. We have a fantastic commentary team also out on the water at the 1,000-meter mark. We have Camilla Hadlin speaking in English and Michael Schmidt doing the German commentary. At the 1,500-meter mark, we also are joined by Tim von Vliet.
Und wir begrüßen Sie herzlich zu diesem zweiten Regattatag des Weltcups der Lucerne Regatta.
So this morning the conditions are looking absolutely fantastic. Regula, what we expect here in Lucerne, the water's flat, the sun is out. We haven't had so much sun the last few days.
No, we didn't, but it just came out on the right moment. It's like perfect conditions for perfect races, and we're so much looking forward to intense racing today. And obviously, out of the Swiss perspective, there are a few very special races. I think not only the Swiss perspective for the men's double scull, this first semi-final with the Swiss boat Barnaby Delars and Roman Rösli is a race full of amazing competitors. We have the world champions from China. We have the reigning European champion from France. We have Switzerland, Poland. So there's a really hot race to come up here. Then obviously also from the Swiss perspective, we are all looking forward to see Janine Khmelin racing her semi-final with the amazing Russian rower that was so convincing here this season already. And then, yes, also two Swiss boats in a repechage that is also very promising in the men's four. What do you think about this race?
Yeah, this men's four repechage is a really tough race. We had the Dutch who had to withdraw yesterday because of medical reasons. They all had to be tested following the COVID protocol, but they are back today and they're competing in this repechage race. Both the first and the second Dutch boats are competing in the repechage race of the men's four, along with the first and the second Swiss boat. So I think that's going to be a cracking race in the men's four. Really looking forward to seeing that come up later on today. But Regula, you're a local here in Lucerne. So for those people who are at home who normally come to Lucerne and they're wishing that they could be here again this year, but they can't, can you describe a little bit like what we're looking at out here on the lake and what we experience here on the Rotsee?
So I think the people that have been here in the past years, and I know it's many of you, they would be very familiar with the picture. We have the cows on the far side. The bells are also ringing like the ones from the cows, unfortunately not from the spectators, but like the organizing committee and media are hitting up here as well.
Up to the start line for the D final of the men's double sculls.
Und wir gehen zum Start des Männer-Doppel-Zweier.
In lane 1, Egypt. In lane 2, Finland.
Bahn 1, Ägypten. Bahn 2, Finnland.
So joining these crews up at the start. In lane 1, that crew from Egypt. In the bow seat, Mohammed El Shahawi. And in the stroke seat, Tamer Cantoni. And in lane 2 from Finland, in the bow seat, Jukka Petikauppi. And in the stroke seat, Antti Kuornen. These crews just preparing up there at the start. It's always quite tense up there at the start. You're just getting your final, getting everything set, checking your rigger, checking your shoes, making sure everything is in place as you get ready to take on 2,000 meters. We have a D final here in this men's double sculls. Very important in the sport of rowing that every boat gets a ranking at every event. So they're here competing in the D final to get their ranking here at the World Rowing Cup 2. And they're off. The first race of the day here for the World Rowing Cup 2 in Lucerne, the D final of the men's double sculls. I saw some very quick ratings coming up on the screen there, 52 strokes a minute from that double from Egypt, but they've got off to a very quick start together with the crew from Finland.
Und das erste Rennen ist gestartet am zweiten Wettkampftag der Lucerne-Regatta. Die Ägypter, die sind hier mit ganz hoher Schlagzahl aus den Startpflöcken rausgeschossen, aber im Moment gehen die da Kopf an Kopf los und das ist auch praktisch gleich schnell. Beide jetzt mit einer Schlagzahl von 39 Schlägen pro Minute.
So the crew from Egypt just getting a slightly better start there. They've just moved up just ever so slightly ahead of Finland, but we're expecting a close race in this D final of the men's double sculls. This crew from Egypt, they're coming up from the under 23. The bow seat is coming up from the under 23 level. And as Regula pointed out earlier, he actually competed at the African Indoor Championships, which was held virtually this last year. He came third, and it was held virtually because of COVID.
Ja, genau. Im Boot aus Ägypten haben wir einen Ruderer, der gerade aus der U23-Kategorie hochgekommen ist und der hat auch an der virtuellen Regatta in Afrika teilgenommen, wurde dort guter Dritter. Also da hat es sehr viele andere Formate gegeben jetzt aufgrund der Pandemie. Also sehr cool, dass es da auch Startmöglichkeiten gegeben hat. Doch zurück zum Rennen, da ist nach wie vor alles ganz eng. Die Boote haben jetzt gerade die 500-Meter-Marke passiert und schön ein so enges Rennen jetzt gerade zu sehen, wenn nur 2 Boote am Start sind.
So these two crews across the 500-meter mark, and Egypt just slightly ahead of Finland, but as expected, a tight race, just 0.2 of a second ahead of Finland as they come through the 500-meter mark, and they charge on down the course. We'll see. We've seen in some of these C and D finals at previous events with 2 boats in them, they actually can go bow ball to bow ball all the way down the course. So we'll see if that plays out here for these two crews as they come charging towards the 750-meter mark. We'll take you out onto the water. We have at the 1,000-meter mark Camilla Hanlon and Michael Schmidt, who will paint the picture for you of this D final in the men's double sculls.
Yes, thank you very much, Gillian, and good morning to everyone tuning in to our minor finals this morning, and just a little bit later on some repechages and semi-finals, and a very tight race indeed we've got here lining up to determine places 19 and 20 in the men's double scull D final. It has been the Egyptian crew that has led by just a few centimetres ahead of the Finnish crew through the 750, and it's still very tight, but Finland starting to move now. Antti Karainen in the stroke seat, taking this boat down the course, 34 strokes a minute to just start moving through Egypt. But a local in the Egyptian crew, Timur Cantoni, setting the rhythm for the Egyptian boat and lives here in Lucerne, right, Mickey?
Timur Cantoni, he's living in Lucerne and also starting for the Lucerne, for the C Club Lucerne, I have to say. Und es ist gerade Timur Cantoni, der hier jetzt bei der 1000-Meter-Marke einen Sprint lanciert hat und versucht, am finnischen Boot dran zu bleiben. Timur Cantoni, bereits 36-jährig bei seinem Weltcup-Debüt hier in Luzern, macht alles, dass er hier den Anschluss behalten kann und seine Stärke im Endspurt ausspielen kann.
Away from us and in front of the athlete area here on the Rotse. The Egyptians now starting to put a push back in to try and keep touch with the move that Finland made on the approach to the 1,000-meter marker. And as they row away from us here at the 1,000, well, half a boat length, if that, separating these two crews, with Finland ahead of Egypt, Tim.
So we pick up the action here at the 1,500-meter mark with, well, absolutely.
Ben, we've lost Tim. Oh, hang on.
Hi, yeah, Camilla, just standing here at the 1,500-meter mark. I can see the crews approaching the three-quarter stage, and it's been a great race so far. We can see the two crews, the crew from Finland slightly in the lead, but it's absolutely stroke for stroke with 650 meters to go. It's a slight headwind condition, but otherwise brilliant conditions here. On the Rotsee, we have the lovely lush conditions, the lovely green here. I'm standing right inside the forest, almost on the edge of the river. From Egypt, and that's a bit of a turnaround.
So we pick up for Tim here from the finish tower, just working on getting his mic sorted out there at the 1500 meter mark. But we'll call the rest of this race from the finish tower. It's turning out to be quite a close race. Finland making a nice push there in the middle portion of the race just to get their boat ahead of that crew from Egypt. They are coming towards the red buoys, and it looks like Finland will make the better of this race, but still a lot left to play for Egypt.
Und die Boote haben jetzt auch die 1500 Meter Marke passiert, also sie sind schon ein bisschen weiter und nach wie vor ein enges Rennen, obwohl jetzt Finnland auf den dritten 500 Meter hier wahrscheinlich die entscheidende Differenz schaffen konnte. Sie haben jetzt noch gut 300 Meter zurückzulegen und es ist hier das Finale D und wichtig zu wissen, im Rudern wird jeder Rang ausgefahren, also diese beiden Boote rudern hier bereits um die ersten Entscheidungen des Tages.
Just a slight ripple on the water here in the red buoy zone. A little bit of a headwind for these crews, but they're powering on, and Finland's still in the lead. They're at 34 strokes a minute ahead of this crew from Egypt, who've gone up to 35 strokes a minute, trying to get back into contention in this D final of the men's double sculls, but not a lot of water left to row, and Finland still in the lead.
Die Finnen können hier ihre Führung verteidigen. Die Ägypter haben versucht, mit der Erhöhung der Schlagzahl hier noch einmal ranzukommen. Aber das wird nicht genug Wasser sein. Das sieht ganz gut aus für das finnische Boot.
These two crews competing for that 19th and 20th place overall at the World Rowing Cup 2 here in Lucerne. Egypt just having a little bit of a steering issue, but they come up towards the line, and I think Finland looking set to take this win in the D final of the men's double sculls. That'll give them 19th place overall here on the Rotsee, and Egypt coming through in that second spot in the D final for the 20th place overall.
Und Finnland hat dieses D-Finale gewonnen und rangiert damit im 19. Gesamtrang vor Ägypten im 20. Rang.
Coming down the course now, the D final of the men's single sculls. From lane 1, Sweden, Moldova, Bermuda, Brazil, the United States of America, and Benin. These crews already through the 500 meter mark, and it is Brazil out to the fastest lead. Lucas Ferreira just having come off that win at the American qualification regatta just about 2 months ago, but he's out to the lead as they approach the 700 meter mark, Camilla.
Yes, indeed, Gillian. A great race so far for the Brazilian Lucas Ferreira, winner of the qualification regatta in his continent for the Americas. So on his way and booked his seat for the Olympic Games later on this year. But the other athlete that's managed to do that is also in the centre of the field, Dara Alizada of Bermuda. Only the third rower ever from Bermuda to qualify for the Olympics. So quite stunning stuff. But as they approach us here, well, a slight change in lead, actually. It's John Graves of the USA, the man from Cincinnati in lane number 5, that pulls up alongside Lucas Ferreira. And this is a great race here in the D-final of the men's single sculls.
Ja, es wird wirklich spannend hier an der Spitze mit John Graves, welcher nun seine Stärke ausspielt und seine Erfahrung, die er mitbringt. Sie nähern sich nämlich jetzt gerade der 1000-Meter-Marke und er drückt hier mächtig aufs Gaspedal, um den Ruderer aus Brasilien, Lucas Ferreira, etwas distanzieren zu können. Aber es ist noch nichts entschieden. Auch zum Ruderer aus Moldawien ist nur eine knappe halbe Länge Vorsprung momentan für John Graves und Lucas Ferreira.
Well, as they came past here at the 1,000-metre marker, a bit of a gust, a small cross headwind that these single sculls are having to face from lane 1 towards us in the commentary point here at lane 6. But John Graves coping with that pretty well. It's not making the water too bumpy, but he's using his length to stay ahead here of Vertain Ferreira of Brazil. So that's the 1-2. Over in third, well, actually, it's someone I've not spoken about yet. Cyril Vysotsky-Sestakov of Moldova sits in that third position, a couple of lengths ahead of the Bermudan Alizada, and then out in 5th and 6th at the moment, Sweden, followed by Benin.
Yeah, just picking up the action here, Camilla. Thanks. I've changed headset and I hope I'm audible right now. Standing here at the 1,500-meter mark, it's absolutely brilliant here at the Rothsee. The weather is perfect. We have some sunshine, and we can see the scullers moving towards me in this slight headwind conditions. Great race so far from the sculler from Brazil, Vertain Ferreira, who is still in the lead, and he's competing in this D final, looking to secure place 19 as he moves along his scull very nicely. But it's clear 3 front runners in this race. We can also see the sculler from Moldova on the far side from my commentary position, now moving to the front of the field with 500 meters left to go. He has increased his rate, striking 33 strokes a minute and moving along. I don't think all these scullers were expecting the headwind conditions, because it's getting a bit gusty here with 500 meters left to go. It's level pegging at the 1,500 meter mark between Brazil and Moldova, with the sculler from the USA, John Graves, a close third with 500 meters to go. On the far side, we can see Eskil Björk from Sweden, currently in 4th position. And I think it's the sculler from Bermuda, Dara Alizade, from looking very good too. But he has some work to do to get back to the front of the race. And as I mentioned that, I'm just being passed here by Privel Hinkati from Benin in 6th position. But Gillian, they're coming towards the finishing tower. Difficult conditions with this slight headwind, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it might be slightly, but I think Lucas Vertain Ferreira, who trains in Rio de Janeiro, I think he's used to this sort of conditions, and we see it as he just makes another push to respond to that little charge from the Moldovan sculler as they come towards the red buoys. He's just managed to push his bow out again ahead of Moldova, with John Graves still sitting in that 3rd position.
Und die Boote kommen jetzt auf die roten Bojen zu und nach wie vor in Führung der Ruderer aus Brasilien, der sich ja an überzeugender Manier an der Qualifikationsregatta für die Olympischen Spiele qualifiziert hat. Er führt vor dem Moldawier, der jetzt die Schlagzahl erhöht hat, den Bootspeed erhöht hat und noch einmal den Brasilianern angreifen wird, und dicht auf den Fersen der Athlet aus Amerika.
Moldova up to 36 strokes a minute, trying to push back on the Brazilian sculler. John Graves from the USA up to 38 strokes a minute, also trying to get back on Lucas Vertain Ferreira. But I think he's done enough early on in this race, although as I say that, Moldova absolutely charging here on the near side of the finish tower, and Ferreira is desperately trying to hang on. He just glances over his shoulder to see where the Moldovan sculler is as they come up to the line. I think Lucas Ferreira will just hang on to... Oh, that's too close to call between Brazil and Moldova there across the line. I'll give it as it comes up on my screen. John Graves coming through in that 3rd spot, and then we look back. Eskil Björk of Sweden will come through in 4th of the D final in the men's single sculls. Then it will be Bermuda's Dara Alizade coming through in 5th, and Privel Hinkati from Benin in 6th.
Und was für ein Finish vom moldawischen Ruderer. Auf der Ziellinie hat er sich den Sieg geholt und gewinnt dieses Rennen vor dem Langzeitführenden aus Brasilien und John Graves aus den USA. Auf den Rang 4 Eskil Björk aus Schweden, Rang 5 für Dara Alizade und Rang 6 Privel Hinkati aus Benin.
So just to confirm that 1st and 2nd spot for you, the Moldovan sculler Cyril Vysotsky-Sestakov came through in that 1st position, just a 10th of a second ahead of Lucas Vertain Ferreira of Brazil. So fantastic sculling for this D final of the men's single sculls. On the course now, the C final of the men's double sculls. From lane 1, the United States of America, Switzerland 2, Chile. And then the Dutch have withdrawn from lane 4, Netherlands 2 has withdrawn for medical reasons, and in lane 5, Venezuela.
Und wir sind im C-Finale des Männer-Doppel-Zweiers, hier auf der Bahn 2 das Schweizer Boot.
They've already crossed the 1,000-meter mark, so we'll jump straight out to you on the course, Camilla.
Yeah, and a great one here for the volunteers and the home fans for Switzerland as they currently lead the USA by a length going through the 1,000 metres. Chile sit in third, and I'm going to hand you over to Michael now to talk you through this Swiss crew.
Ja, es sieht sehr gut aus für das Schweizer Boot, für Kai Schätzle und Tim Roth. Sie haben hier bei 1000 Meter etwa eine Führung von einer Länge gehabt auf das Boot aus den USA. Das Boot aus den USA wird trainiert von Peter Mansfeld, Insider in der Schweiz, kennen ihn natürlich. Er war lange Jahre der Trainer vom Ruderclub Zürich, jetzt in den USA Trainer und macht hier auch einen sehr guten Job mit diesem Boot aus den USA. Aber momentan ist immer noch das Boot aus den USA in Führung, aus der Schweiz in Führung.
So Switzerland doing a great job here to stay ahead of the USA, 35 strokes a minute. But what can this American combination of Cardno and Kirkgaard, as we just heard, coached by Peter Mansfeld and training in Texas, what can they do to mount a charge on the Swiss here, Tim?
Well, if they're going to get going, they have to do it now because it's almost 500 meters left to row, and the Swiss, that young Swiss crew with Tim Roth in the stroke seat, is still ahead by quite some margin. It's almost a boat length in front with 500 meters to go, and you can see the Swiss athletes, these young athletes, being very adaptive in these conditions, just breaking clear of the Americans who having a bit of trouble having their blade work a bit compromised by the buoys, which they are perilously close to, so I hope they don't catch a crab. But the home water advantage is definitely for the Swiss crew, closely followed by the crew from Chile in third position, and the crew from Venezuela just passing my commentary position here at the 1500 meter mark. So a great race from the young Swiss as they come to you, Gillian.
Yes, I think it's good experience for this young Swiss crew out there in the lead, looking to place 13th overall from this C final of the men's double sculls, and then the US and Chile just holding on to those second and third positions.
Und das Schweizer Boot mit Tim Roth und Kai Schätzle ist jetzt gerade in den roten Bojen angekommen, also noch 250 Meter zu rudern für dieses U23-Boot des Schweizerischen Ruderverbands. Sie hier mit einem sehr starken Auftritt. Sie ja eigentlich mit dem Saisonziel U23 WM. Man hat diesen Booten die Startgelegenheit gegeben und die nutzen sie. Sie zeigen hier ein starkes Rennen und lassen sich nicht irritieren von den Amerikanern, die hier noch einmal die Schlagzahl erhöht haben, aber die Schweizer nach wie vor Schlagzahl 38 und das schnellste Boot im Feld.
Winding it up for the sprint, the Swiss have gone up to 39 strokes a minute to respond to the American charge, but they have better boat speed as they come into the final few strokes of this race. They've just glanced over their shoulders to check where the Americans are, but they can see them with that boat length up on the United States of America. Switzerland will come across the line to take 13th overall in the men's double sculls. The United States coming across second in the C final, 14th overall. Then we look back to the rest of the field. Chile will take that 15th position in the men's double sculls and Venezuela in 16th.
Und eine wunderbare Art aus Schweizer Sicht, den Tag zu starten, nämlich mit einem Sieg im C-Final und dem 13. Gesamtrang für Kai Schätzle und Tim Roth. Sie haben das Rennen gewonnen vor den USA, Chile und Venezuela.
Coming down the course now, the C final of the lightweight women's single sculls. Just 2 boats contesting this race. In lane 1, representing Japan, Natsumi Yamaro. And in lane 2, representing Norway, Oda Agesen. They've just come across the 500-meter mark here, and it's a slight advantage for the Japanese sculler Yamarao. And she's coming towards the 600-meter mark. She's rating 30 strokes a minute together with the Norwegian. They're just getting their rhythm here through the center part of this race. They might struggle slightly with this cross headwind condition as they make their way down the course. But currently, Japan still leading Norway as they approach you, Camilla, at the 750-meter mark.
Thanks, Gillian. Yes, it's quite chilly here actually for us here on the 1,000-meter marker. It's very variable wind blowing in at us off the mountains. Certainly quite cold, but gusty. It's quite flat calm at the moment from where we're sat, but that's not always been the case. So hopefully calming down a little for these lightweight women's single sculls. And as they come towards us, it's still the Japanese sculler Natsumi Yamayo in lane number 1. Out of the lightweight double scull here to contest the single scull at this regatta, and doing a very good job of it at the moment. But hot on her heels, Oda Agesen of Norway is not letting her go. Still within a length and a half at this point in time as they come towards the halfway timing point. Agesen, coached by Sebastian Baranzo, just wanting to stick close in these winds as they pick up once again, heading in towards 1,000 meters.
Ja, beide Ruderinnen aus Japan und Norwegen sind im Moment mit einer Schlagzahl von 30 Schlägen pro Minute unterwegs. Und es sieht im Moment so aus, dass die Japanerin Natsumi Yamario sich etwas absetzen kann und das Rennen vielleicht schon eine Vorentscheidung bei diesem Rennen herbeiführen kann. Hier bei der 1000-Meter-Marke. Sie hat nun etwa einen Vorsprung von 1,5 Längen und kann sich mit jedem Schlag ein paar Zentimeter weiter nach vorne schieben.
So, as they came parallel to us here at the 1,000-meter marker, there was about a boat length, maybe just a bit less of clear water separating these scullers. Still, Natsumi Yamaro for Japan in the lead. She's up, currently stroking 30 strokes a minute, but that will be quite tough as the wind picks up once more. We can see the ripples just starting to emerge on the water, and she'll have to stay nice and upright into these winds. The rating that little bit lower, and Agesen the same. She's down at 30 strokes a minute just to try and contest with these gusts. But currently boat speed for the better with the Japanese sculler, Tim.
Definitely, Camilla. It's looking. It's one of those 2-horse races which we used to see in Henley, but here in the C final of the lightweight women's, we are treated to a lovely race between the Japanese and the Norwegian scullers. They're definitely having a bit of work to do because these conditions aren't really that favorable for lightweight scullers. This slight cross headwind condition, which I think are increasing in the last couple of minutes. At least they are here at the 1,500-meter mark, but it's great grit and determination by the sculler from both these scullers as they approach my position. Despite the wind, we still have lovely sunny conditions, which is a real treat here in Lucerne. Yesterday we had all rain and drizzle and clouds, but today the skies have opened up and we have some lovely sunshine. I can see the Pilatus mountain in the distance, shrouded in some cloud cover, but other than that, it's perfectly Swiss and perfectly lovely. Coming to the 1,500 meters now, it's that sculler Yamario from Japan, the 29-year-old, who has really increased her lead in the third 500, that tough bit of the race. All athletes know that the third 500 is the most tough bit of every race. With 500 meters to go, you know that the line is coming quick, but the third 500 is the difficult bit of the race, and the Japanese sculler has certainly rode through it very well, opening up a sizable lead. I think 4 lengths of clear water from Agesen from Norway, who is still also struggling, rating racing a relatively low 28 strokes a minute. So that shows that these headwinds conditions are really tough for these athletes as they come into view to you, Gillian, in the tower.
Yeah, thanks, Tim. I think you're right to call that Norwegian. She just took her rate down slightly to 28 strokes a minute through that third quarter of the race. I think she might have been struggling a little bit with the wind conditions, and she's lost contact with the Japanese, so she won't be able to feel as well the pressure of the race as she's coming down the route. But hopefully she's still enjoying this race as she starts to wind it up for the sprint. And then the Japanese sculler Yamayaro just still out in the lead. She's looking to place 13th overall here. So the C final of the lightweight women's single sculls, placing 13th overall. She takes her rate up to 31 strokes a minute as she heads towards the red buoys.
Und die führende Athletin aus Japan, Natsumi Yamario, ist jetzt bei den roten Bojen angekommen und Sie haben es gehört, es ist leichter Gegenwind, es sind relativ strenge Verhältnisse für die Leichtgewichtsruderinnen jetzt auf dem Ruderkurs und da ist die Japanerin definitiv im Vorteil. Sie hat nach wie vor die höhere Schlagzahl, sie hat den höheren Boatspeed. Da kann die Norwegerin Oda Agesen wahrscheinlich auf den letzten 200 Metern nichts mehr ausrichten. Es sieht also sehr gut aus, dass die Japanerin hier diesen Sieg holt im C-Finale. Das wäre dann Gesamtrang 13 für der Regatta.
So the sculler from Japan has gone up to 32 strokes a minute as she comes into the final few stages of this race. She's just opened up her lead a little bit farther ahead of Norway. She's looking very secure to take this first place in the C final of the lightweight women's single sculls. That will be 13th overall for her here in Lucerne. The sculler not having competed at the Asian qualification game, but she's here on the Rote and about to cross the finish line to take that first in the C final. 13th overall goes to Japan, and then just a few boat lengths back, Oda Agesen of Norway.
Und gewonnen hat das Rennen Japan und rangiert im Gesamtrang 13, Platz 2 und damit Gesamtrang 14 für Norwegen.
On the course now, the C final of the lightweight men's single sculls. In lane 1, Algeria won. In lane 2, the United States of America. And in lane 3, Spain. They're charging towards the 1,000-meter mark. Camilla and Michi, how does it look out there from your perspective?
Yeah, still not the best conditions for lightweight scullers, and Mickey and I were just talking about when he was racing, whether you'd prefer a windy but nice day in terms of the sunshine or rainy and flat. Mickey, what do you think?
Normally I certainly would take the flat conditions, although I loved also windy conditions, but only tailwind. At the moment it's headwind, and those rowers, they just crossed the 1,000-meter mark in a time of a bit over 4 minutes. So that's quite a slow time for a lightweight men's rowing. But that just shows that the wind is quite strong.
Yeah, and out in front, mastering those conditions, Patricio Rojas Aznar of Spain, the 29-year-old, just over a length ahead of the debutante James McCullough of the USA, but a very tight battle there for second and third, determining places 14th and 15th in this C final. Back to the Algerian Kamel Al-Daoud that sits in third, but only just.
Ja, es sieht sehr gut aus für den Spanier, welcher hier das Rennen anführt. Schon gestern im Hoffnungslauf hat er das Rennen deutlich angeführt. Bei der 1000-Meter-Marke ist danach allerdings eingebrochen. Im Moment sieht es besser aus für ihn. Er führt das Rennen mit etwa 2 Bootslängen vor dem Amerikaner an.
So as they head towards you, Tim, at the 1,500 metre, the USA sculler still managing to stay up at 35 strokes a minute in these wins. That's quite remarkable.
Yeah, definitely, Camilla. It's a bit of an odd sight to see that in these headwind conditions, but perhaps he has changed the ratio on his blade, so he has a slightly lower gearing, higher gearing, I should say, to maintain this 35 strokes a minute. But Currently crossing three-quarter stage, it's Patricio Rojas Aznar from Spain, who was last in the repechage yesterday, but he stopped rowing in the rep at 1500 meters. So he is definitely into form in this C final, looking for that place 13 overall in the lightweight men's single. But great race from James McCulloch from the USA to keep that second place. And a bit further back, we see Kamel Ait Dadoud from Algeria in third position in this C final. But great racing from the sculler, the 29-year-old sculler from Spain, Patricio Rojas Aznar, still in the lead, coming towards you, Gillian.
Thanks, Tim. Yeah, a bit of a surprise to see Rojas Aznar in this C final. We saw him in the A final at the European Championships just a few weeks ago where he finished 6th, so not sure what happened in that repechage yesterday, but he did shut down at about 1500 meters and just tapped his boat across the line, so he's back here on form coming towards the red buoys, but 38 strokes a minute from the American James McCulloch as he comes into the sprint.
Und nach wie vor in Führung, klare Führung für den Spanier Patricio Rojas Aznar. Wir haben es gehört, es ist eher überraschend, ihn hier im C-Final zu sehen. Er war an den Europameisterschaften noch im Final. Und der Amerikaner, der ist aktuell klar auf dem zweiten Platz, aber der gibt nochmals alles. In diesen schwierigen Gegenwindverhältnissen hat er die Schlagzahl auf 38 erhöht. Aber Patricio Rojas Aznar, der reagiert hier auf diesen Zwischenspurt. Also hier sind die Ränge aller Voraussicht nach gesetzt. Dieses Rennen scheint Spanien vor USA und Algerien zu gewinnen.
Rojas Aznar looking very in control here as he comes up to the line. 33 strokes a minute. He knows that he's just got a few more strokes to take to come 13th overall here in Lucerne. First in the C-final of the lightweight men's single sculls. He crosses the line and there's the beep for Spain. The United States following him. He'll take 14th place overall. And then we look back at the field to Algeria 1, Kamel Ait Daoud, who will come in 15th overall.
Und ich kann es bestätigen, Patricio Rojas Aznar hat dieses Rennen gewonnen und wird damit 13. insgesamt vor den USA und Algerien.
On the course now, the C-final of the women's single sculls. In lane 1, Cuba. In lane 2, Sweden. And in lane 3, Trinidad and Tobago. They're just coming up to the 800-meter mark, and currently making the best of it is the Swedish sculler Lovisa Claesson, but it's a very close race at the front of the field, Camilla.
Point coming into halfway, but you're absolutely right. The Swedish sculler Lovisa Claesson down at 31 strokes a minute. Again, we're seeing slightly lower ratings, I think, from these single scullers into these conditions, just to make sure that they keep their length into the wind. But as they come towards us here, it's still not over, as it's the Cuban sculler Milena Vallenda Cancio that is closing in, and just a couple of lengths back then to Trinidad and Tobago's Felice Chow that sits in third.
Ja, es sieht sehr gut aus bei der 1000-Meter-Marke für die Schwedin, für Lovisa Claesson, welche hier das Rennen etwa eine knappe Länge vor der Kubanerin anführt. An dritter Position etwas zurück ist die Ruderin aus Trinidad und Tobago. Alle drei Ruderinnen haben sich für die Olympischen Spiele in Tokio 2020 qualifiziert und sind nun mitten in der Vorbereitung für die Olympischen Spiele.
Yeah, so all of these single sculls qualify for the Tokyo Olympic Games in their various continental qualification regattas. But it's Claesson of Sweden, the European qualifier, that leads the charge in the centre of the lake. She's got just less than a length now. It is the Cuban sculler Vanega Cancio that is still hot on her heels. The bow ball moving up the canvas of the stern of the Swedish sculler. And as I look now to the boat speeds, they are equal on these two single sculls. So we could be in for a great race in this last 500 metres, Tim.
I think we have Tim lost for the moment, but we're come up here to the tower just to take over for the last 500 meters of this race. And yeah, like you say, Camilla, I think it could be a fantastic last 500 meters in the C final of the women's single sculls. As you both mentioned, all three of these crews already set to compete in Tokyo, so they're probably really interested to see the boat speed of these other crews on the water here, get a nice test in before they head to Tokyo. And I think Cuba's just trying to make her move here, trying to push back on Louisa Claesson of Sweden as they come up to the 1500 meter mark.
Und Michael Schmid hat es gesagt, alle Boote sind qualifiziert für die Olympischen Spiele in Tokio. Also hier ist es wirklich ein erstes Abtasten in der Saison. Wie sind denn die anderen Boote aus den anderen Kontinenten unterwegs? Und nach wie vor in Führung die Schwedin, aber sie, Louisa Claesson, jetzt auch unter Druck von der Kubanerin Milena Venega Cancio. Milena Venega Cancio ist hier auf Schlagzahl 30. Das ist sehr ähnlich wie die Schwedin, die im Moment mit 31 unterwegs ist. Und ganz wenig dahinter zurück dann die Athletin von Trinidad und Tobago, Felice Chow.
So Louisa Claesson just outrating the other two scullers slightly. She's up at 31 strokes a minute as she crosses the 1500 meter mark, and that's giving her just slightly better boat speed than the Cuban sculler at this stage of the race. Trinidad and Tobago just dropping back slightly.
Well,
Felice Chow just dropping back slightly here as they come towards the sprint of this race. Louisa Claesson gone up to 32 strokes a minute.
Well.
Cuba down at 30 strokes a minute, but desperately trying to get back into contention.
Group and Channel.
Und jetzt kommen die Boote langsam aber sicher in den ganz heißen Bereich des Rennens. Es sind noch etwa 300 Meter zu rudern in diesem C-Finale. Nach wie vor in Führung die schwedische Athletin Louisa Claesson. Sie macht hier also ein souveränes Rennen und sehr konstant mit dieser Schlagzahl 31 geht sie wirklich über die Strecke. Die Verhältnisse sind nach wie vor Gegenwind, vielleicht noch ein bisschen weniger stark als in den Rennen gleich zuvor. Also sie scheint hier wirklich ihren Rhythmus gefunden zu haben und sie geht mit diesem Rhythmus über die Strecke. Dahinter nach wie vor Milena Venega Cancio aus Kuba, die hier ebenfalls ein sehr konstantes Rennen zeigt. Also es scheint wirklich im Moment das Mittel zu sein, seinen Schlag zu finden und mit dem über die Strecke zu gehen.
Yeah, it's a good point from Regula. Louisa Claesson staying consistent at that 31 strokes a minute throughout the entire race, but just powering up. So her boat speeds moved up in the last few hundred meters, but her rate has stayed the same. She's just gone up ever so slightly now to 32 strokes a minute as she comes into the final section of this race. But she can look back on this Cuban sculler and know that she's looking set to take that 13th place overall here in the women's single scull. So she's heading up towards the line. Louisa Claesson out in the lead.
Ja, und Louisa Claesson hier in Führung, die kommt jetzt auf die Ziellinie zu und sie kontrolliert dieses Rennen nach wie vor in einer sehr konstanten Art hier zu rudern. Also eine überzeugende Leistung zum Sieg im C-Finale und dem 13. Gesamtrang. Gefolgt von der Athletin aus Kuba und Trinidad und Tobago.
Across the line, Louisa Claesson of Sweden will take the first spot in the C final. That's 13th overall in the women's single sculls. She'll be followed by Milena Venega Cancio of Cuba coming through in that second spot in the C final, and Felice Chow of Trinidad and Tobago crossing the line now for third in the C final, 15th overall in the women's single sculls.
Und ich kann den Zieleinlauf bestätigen. Louisa Claesson gewinnt dieses Rennen, wird 13. vor Milena Venega Cancio und Felice Chow aus Trinidad und Tobago.
Coming down the course now, the C final of the men's single sculls. From lane 1, Zimbabwe, Netherlands 1, Germany 2, Norway 2, Egypt 1, and Italy 1. These crews are quickly approaching the 1,000-meter mark, and it's looking like a fantastic race out there on the water, Camilla.
Yeah, this is a sensational race going through halfway, but a dominant performance for the German here, Stefan Reimkasten, the under-23 world champion from back in 2015 and two-time junior champion in both the single and the double scull, really showing his dominance out there on the water, but really not much to choose between the other minor places. For now, it's Petter Tufte of Norway that sits in second, but only just, because just to his left, he's got both the Egyptian and Italian sculler Albana and Martini chomping at the bit for that second place. And on the far side of the lake, from us here at the 1,000 metres in lanes 1 and 2, both Finn Florijn of the Netherlands and Peter Purcell-Gilpin are within a length of one another. So a dominant performance here for the Germans so far, but a tight race behind.
Ja, es sieht sehr gut aus für Stefan Reimekasten aus Deutschland. Der gebürtige Berliner fährt hier deutlich vorne weg und zeigt, dass in den Einer und diese schweren Gegenwindbedingungen im Griff hat. Vor 10 Jahren wurde er Juniorenweltmeister und er zeigt auch jetzt, er kann Einer rudern. Und führt dieses Rennen an. Auf der 2. und 3. Position ist es ganz eng. Momentan vielleicht auch leichte Vorteile für den Norweger Petter Tufte. Nicht zu verwechseln mit Olaf Tufte, sind auch nicht verwandt oder verschwägert, aber ebenfalls im Einer unterwegs für Norwegen.
Yeah, so an absolute fan favourite here leading this C final of the men's single sculls. I know that Stefan Reimekasten has been highly requested on the World Rowing social media. He's got quite a presence and leading the way here again with clear water behind to the rest of the field. But as we move into the closing stages, we're just about to go through 500 metres to go, and the race for second still extremely tight, and I think it is the experience of Simone Martini in lane number 6 that pulls himself ahead of the fighting pack. But the Zimbabwean Peter Purcell-Gilpin, the man that studied in Birmingham in the UK and a very talented artist in fact as well, who's starting to move into this fight for second alongside Tufte, alongside Albana of Egypt. But Simone Martini starting to slot into place here behind Stefan Reimekasten. Gillian.
That's absolutely right, Camilla. Simone Martini just making a fantastic move here, trying to push up on the German. But I think Stefan Reimekasten has done what he needed to do throughout the middle portion of this race. But we've really got about 4 boats across for that second spot here in the C final as they come charging towards the red buoys.
Und was für ein überzeugendes Rennen von Stefan Reimekasten. Er ist hier seit Beginn in Führung und dominiert schon fast dieses Rennen. Wir haben aktuell Simone Martini aus Italien, der die Schlagzahl erhöht hat und hier versucht, nochmals ranzukommen. Aber es sind nur noch 250 Meter für diese beiden führenden Boote und das sieht also sehr gut aus für Stefan Reimekasten. Dahinter haben wir aus Ägypten Zahir Ibrahim Elbana Abdeleke, der auch ein sehr starkes Rennen zeigt. Er hat inzwischen den Norweger hinter sich lassen können und nicht zu vergessen, ebenfalls an der Afrika qualifiziert aus Zimbabwe, Peter Purcell-Gilpin, also hier nach wie vor auch mit dabei für diesen 3. Zwischenrang.
These 6 scullers are absolutely charging towards us in the finish tower with Stefan Reimekasten still out in the lead. Simone Martini on the far side from us, just absolutely powering his way down the course. But next to him, a huge push there from Finn Florijn of the Netherlands trying to get back into contention. And Zimbabwe on the near side to us also trying to make a big move here. So they're going to come up to the line. Stefan Reimekasten of Germany takes the first spot in the C final of the men's single sculls. I think it was Egypt there on the far side. I'm going to wait for this to come up on the screen because I'm not entirely sure. Simone Martini coming through in 3rd. Then we go to Norway in 4th. Finn Florijn of the Netherlands coming through in 5th. But I'm going to wait for that to confirm it up there on the screen.
Was für ein Zieleinlauf, was für ein Rennen. Gewonnen wurde es von Stefan Reimekasten vor Ägypten. Und dann Simone Martini aus Italien auf dem 3. Rang, Peter Purcell-Gilpin von Zimbabwe aus dem 4., 5. Rang für Peter Tufte und der 6. Rang geht nach Holland.
Just confirming those places for you. Stefan Lemikasten of Germany coming through in that first spot in the C final of the men's single sculls. Egypt coming through in second. Then it was Italy, Simone Martini through. Then fourth, Zimbabwe. Fifth went to Norway, and sixth to the Netherlands in the C final of the men's single sculls. On the course now, the C final of the lightweight men's double sculls. In lane 1, Venezuela. In lane 2, Portugal 2. In lane 3, Norway 2. And in lane 4, Egypt. Making the best of it at this early stage in the race is the crew from Norway 2. They've gone to the 500-meter mark in the lead, and then just behind them currently Portugal 2, Egypt and Venezuela. They're approaching the 900-meter mark, and in sight of you, Camilla.
Yes, Sodal and Home of Norway that sit in lane 3 look absolutely great out here. They're giving the boat so much time to run underneath them, and actually they're underrating the Portuguese that sit in second place just behind them by 3 strokes a minute. So they've got about a length of clear water going through the 1,000. It's then the Portuguese combination of Becha and Filago that come through the 1,000-meter marker behind them. And then in third, it's going to be Egypt ahead of Venezuela.
Es sieht gut aus für das norwegische Boot. Die beiden haben einen sehr schönen langen Schlag und können hier trotz relativ tiefer Schlagzahl den anderen Booten komfortabel davonfahren. Auf dem zweiten Rang ist das Boot der Portugiesen, auf Rang 3 momentan. Das Boot aus Ägypten und auf dem letzten Rang die Venezuelaner.
So the sun's still shining just about here at the 1,000-meter marker, but I can see a little bit of cloud creeping in towards 1,500, and that breeze of headwind still kind of coming and going. But Tim, we're seeing here a sort of example of how the headwind can really spread out a field of crews.
Yeah, absolutely, Camilla. I think these conditions can be tricky for the lightweights out there on the water, but we do see the Portuguese rating still at 38 strokes a minute as they're in this third quarter of the race, but it hasn't quite shifted their boat speed as I think they would have liked to make that big push through on the Norwegian crew in this third section of the race. But Norway's still out into the lead as they come up towards 1,500 meters.
Und in diesem dritten 500er haben die Portugiesen mit einer klaren Schlagzahlerhöhung versucht, auf die führenden Norweger aufzufahren. Aber das ist ihnen nicht ganz gelungen. Das ist nach wie vor ein großer Abstand zwischen Norwegen und Portugal. Also die Norweger, die haben jetzt gerade in 5,24 die 1500 Meter Marke passiert. Knapp 5 Sekunden dahinter sind es dann die Portugiesen, gefolgt von Ägypten und Venezuela.
Yeah, so it's really interesting to see the different rating, the different styles of rowing out there on the water. The difference between the Norwegians right now down at 33 strokes a minute and the Portuguese at 37 strokes a minute. They're just using different styles. They probably have a different weight on their blades, a different rigging to help them with these different styles of rowing. But the Norwegians just using a longer stroke and their boat speed is about even with the Portuguese, but the Portuguese are having to do a lot more work as they come into the final part of this race. Again, the C final, so places 13, 14, 15, and 16 in the lightweight men's double sculls. And Norway still out in the lead as they come towards the last 250 meters.
Ja, Gillian hat es gesagt, es sind sehr unterschiedliche Stile, die wir hier sehen. Norwegen bleibt weiterhin auf dieser doch eher ruhigen für Leichtgewichtsdoppelzahl Schlagzahl 34 und die Portugiesen, die stürmen da nach wie vor. Sie sind 38, Schlagzahl 39 zwischendurch sogar. Aber es gelingt ihnen aktuell nicht, diese Lücke zu den Norwegen kleiner zu machen. Noch verbleiben knapp 200 Meter, aber ob das hier noch reicht, zum etwas verändern, wird ganz, ganz schwierig.
So into these last final few strokes, and Norway just powering their way down towards the finish line ahead of Portugal too. Then we have a bit of open water back to the rest of the field at this point. Egypt in that third spot and Venezuela currently in fourth. But coming up to the line now, Norway too is going to take the win in the C final of the lightweight men's double sculls. That gives them 13th place overall. They'll be followed by Portugal too, and then just a bit of water back to Egypt and Venezuela.
Und jetzt können wir es bestätigen, Norwegen gewinnt diesen C-Final und wird damit gesamt 13. im Männerleichtgewichtsdoppelzweier vor Portugal. Ägypten holt Platz 3 und Venezuela wird 4. in diesem C-Final.
On the course now, the first AB semi-final. We have the AB semi-final of the lightweight women's single sculls. From lane 1, Netherlands 2, then Italy 2, China, Netherlands 1, France, and Belarus 1. These crews are already past the 500-meter mark. They're approaching the 750-meter mark. Again, 3 through to the A final out of this bunch. How's it shaping up out there, Camilla?
Well, shaping up like a lightweight race normally does, in that it's very close here for these top 3 spots through to the A final. It was actually the Dutch sculler Martina Veldhuis that led out of the blocks and through 500 metres, but around her, well, it's all hotting up because Federica Cesarini, who found herself in this lightweight single sculls event, was in the lead for just a few strokes, but the Dutch sculler Martina Veldhuis has now nabbed it back off her because they're both trying to fend off China, who sit in lane 3 in the middle. Li Huru in sandwiched in between both the Dutch and the Italians, also trying to take the lead. As they come towards us, it's going to be 3 boats in alignment for the 1, 2, 3. We'll tell you as we come through the 1,000, and then sat just 1 length back, 2 equal boats in Susie Duncan for France and Femke van der Vliet, the second Dutch sculler in this race, only sit just 1 length back on this leading trio.
Ja, im Moment sind es 3 Boote, die das Rennen hier im ersten Halbfinale des Frauenleichtgewichts anführen. Nämlich die Chinesin zusammen mit der Italienerin Federica Cesarini und Martina Veldhuis aus den Niederlanden. Es war ganz knapp das chinesische Boot, welches die 1000-Meter-Marke als erstes überquert hat. Hinter diesem Trio ist die Französin Susanne Duncan, welche versucht dran zu bleiben, um ihre Chance für das A-Finale zu wahren.
So it was Li Huiru that went through that 1,000-meter timing marker in the all-important 3rd spot, but just behind Federica Cesarini, still wrestling with Martina Veldhuis in those top 3 spots. And what a wonderful race this is, and I can hear the bank getting extremely excited here on the Rotsee. Lots of cheers from the athlete area as they watch this absolutely stunning race, barrel ball for the top 3 spots. And still, I must say, Susie Duncan of France not out of it. Femke van der Vliet not out of it. Still only 1 length back on this leading trio. It really is going to be a charge to the line here, Tim.
It's absolutely stunning in this lightweight women's single sculls race. So fantastic to see these 3 crews out in the lead. But as you say, Camilla, I think it's still to play for France and Netherlands too through this 3rd quarter of the race. If they can just manage to get that boat speed up and that grit and determination through the 3rd quarter, they might just have a chance at getting one of those 3 spots into the A final.
Und wir sind beim ersten Halbfinale des Tages und da geht es wirklich um diese ersten 3 Plätze und was für ein Rennen. Es ist hier eng, ganz, ganz eng, kurz vor der also im dritten 500er. Hier macht man das Rennen. Es gibt noch große Möglichkeiten, sich zu verschieben, aber nach wie vor in Führung die Chinesin vor der Italienerin und dem ersten Boot aus Holland mit einem so starken Auftritt auch im ersten Vorlauf. Aber auch die Französin und das zweite Boot aus Holland, Femke van der Vliet, die gestern den Hoffnungslauf gewonnen hat, sind hier noch drin, um sich einer von diesen 3 begehrten Plätzen zu sichern.
So Li Huiru of China just making her way, making her name known as she crosses the 1,500 meter mark in the lead. She's just 20 years of age. She competed in that lightweight women's double sculls for China back in 2019 that did not qualify for the Tokyo Olympic Games, but she's certainly making up for it here in the lightweight women's single sculls. Out to the lead there, rating 30 strokes a minute, underrating the rest of the field, but with the best boat speed out there on the water. And then behind her, it's still Federica Cesarini and Martina Veldhuis of the Netherlands trying to stay in that second and third position through to the A final. I think if we look back at the rest, if there's still a chance for Femke van der Vliet and Susanne Duncan to get into contention here, but they've got a lot of work to do in the last sprint. They're coming towards the red buoys now and China's still out in the lead.
Ja, und Gillian hat es gesagt, die Chinesin hier in Führung und sie schlägt nach wie vor Schlagzahl 30, also ist viel ruhiger unterwegs als ihre Konkurrentinnen. Das Wasser hat sich beruhigt, aber es hat nach wie vor ganz leichten Gegenwind. Also sie hat hier eine sehr, sehr gute Art, ihr Boot fortzubewegen. Sie führt vor ganz knapp der Italienerin und dem ersten Boot aus Holland, aber das zweite Boot aus Holland, Femke van der Vliet, ist hier absolut am Überholen und hat soeben zu ihrer Landespartnerin Martine Veldhuis aufgeschlossen. Wie sieht's aus, Gillian?
Oh, these crews are just all coming together. They're all coming into one line as they approach the finish line. A fantastic sprint from Femke van der Vliet, the second Dutch boat. She's overtaken Martina Veldhuis as they come towards the line, and Susanne Duncan still not out of it for France. Federica Cesarini also trying to stay up there for Italy, but I think Liu Huru of China will maintain that lead. But a fantastic race in this AB semifinal of the lightweight women's single sculls. Can Femke van der Vliet just overtake Martina Veldhuis as they come up towards the line? Federica Cesarini of Italy trying to stay in that second position, and Liu Huru of China I think will maintain. She'll stay out of the tussle here in the lead. She will take that first spot, and Femke van der Vliet from the Netherlands too will take that second spot, and Federica Cesarini third into the A final out of this lightweight women's single sculls. That's a bummer for Martina Veldhuis of Netherlands one. She'll just miss out together with Susanne Duncan of France, and then we have a bit of open water back to Tatiana Hankarova of Belarus 1. Those 3 will go through to the B final.
Und was für ein attraktives Rennen und spannende Ausgangslage bereits im ersten Halbfinale des Tages gewonnen hat. Das ist es die Chinesin vor der Holländerin Femke van der Vliet und der Italienerin. Und für die zweite Holländerin Martine Veldhuis gibt es Rang 4 und damit das B-Finale. Rang 5 für Frankreich und Rang 6 für Belarus.
On the course now, the second AB semi-final of the lightweight women's single sculls. From lane 1, Italy 1, then Switzerland 2, Ireland, Switzerland 1, Germany and Great Britain.
Und 2 Boote in diesem zweiten Halbfinale aus der Schweiz. Auf Bahn 2 haben wir Eline Roll und auf Bahn 4 Sofia Mikin.
So these crews are quickly approaching the 850 meter mark. Are we going to see as close of a race in this second semi-final, Camilla?
Yeah, I was about to say, Gillian, actually, if this is as close a race as the previous, we're in for an absolute treat. And it looks like it's shaping up that way as we come through 1,000 metres. And it's the original single sculler for the Italian team, Paola Piazzola, that comes through halfway, half a length ahead of Lydia Heafy of Ireland. And we know Heafy had a fantastic second half yesterday. She absolutely charged through the field. So I'm sure more to come from her. Again, a great spot here for both Swiss scullers, coached by Bill Lucas, that sit either side of the Irish sculler. Both Meakin and Roll here in contention to go through to the A final, and that would be quite the internal competition, Michi.
Ja, es sind im Moment 4 Boote, welche hier das Rennen anführen, nämlich Italien, zweimal die Schweiz und Irland. Momentan sieht es so aus, dass das italienische Boot Paola Piazzolla das Rennen anführt, aber nur etwa eine knappe Länge vor der Irländerin Lydia Heafy. Die Schweizerinnen sind etwas zurück, aber wir kennen sie. Sie können noch mächtig aufdrehen auf den zweiten 1000 Metern. Sophia Miken ist auf dem 3. Platz und Elin Roll etwas zurück auf Rang 4. Sie muss jetzt etwas unternehmen, damit sie noch in die 3 Plätze reinfahren kann und sich so den A-Finalplatz verdienen kann.
Well, it's hard work here for Paola Piazzolla of Italy in lane 1. She's just clinging on ahead of Heafy through this third 500 metres. She's up at 33 strokes a minute. Heafy slightly underrating her for Ireland at 32 strokes a minute. And the gap closes just 1 centimetre more as Heafy now starts to mount that charge that we saw yesterday. So familiar for Heafy of Ireland, but she still sits in second place, but only just her boat speed picking up now through this third 500 metres. And I think within the next few strokes we're going to have a change of leadership here because it's closing down on Piazzolla of Italy. She just leads here through 600 metres to go. But the Battle of the Swiss still taking place behind for that third and final and very important spot through to the A final. It's currently the faster of the two, Switzerland 1, Sophia Miken, that sits ahead of Roll. But who knows, that could all change in this final 500 metres as we head now towards the tower.
That's right, Camilla. Lydia Heafy just trying to make that move there that you've called, but a great response from Paola Piazzolla of Italy won to respond to that charge from the Irish sculler, and Switzerland with their internal battle there coming into the final sprint. Sophia Miken with the advantage as they come into the last few meters of this race.
Und es ist weiterhin sehr spannend in diesem zweiten Halbfinale. Es gibt 3 Plätze und die Schweizerinnen duellieren sich leider gerade um den 3. Platz. Nach wie vor in Führung die Italienerin, beziehungsweise Entschuldigung, genau in diesem Moment hat die Irin die Führung übernommen. Sie hat sich jetzt vor die Italienerin davor geschoben, aber auch ganz knapp dahinter jetzt die beiden Schweizerinnen. Und Elin Roll hat den Boatspeed erhöhen können. Sie ist im Moment noch im 4. Zwischenrang, aber sie liegt nur ganz knapp, etwa einen guten Luftkasten hinter Sophia Miken, und jetzt kommen sie in die roten Bojen. Also hier ist für beide Schweizerinnen noch alles drin. Es gibt 3 Plätze, aktuell sind es 4 Athletinnen, die hier um diese Plätze streiten.
Oh, these places are really starting to heat up. Lydia Heafy has made her move. She's gotten her bow ball into the lead ahead of the Italian sculler, but the 2 Swiss scullers are really battling it out as Elin Roll has made her move here on Sophia Miken as they come towards the red buoys. A fantastic race between these 2 Swiss scullers. They rode together in the lightweight women's doubles sculls at the under-23s just 2 years ago, and now they're battling it out here to try and get a spot into the A final of the lightweight women's singles sculls, but the Irish sculler still out in the lead as they come into the last few strokes.
Ja, und die beiden Schweizerinnen jetzt eigentlich gleich auf. Ich kann hier vom Zielturm nicht bestimmen, wer hier in Führung liegt, aber sie haben sich vor allem beide auch an die Italienerin hervorgeschoben. Vielleicht ist es hier noch möglich, auf den letzten Schlägen die Italienerin abzufangen. Das wird ganz, ganz eng. Mal schauen, wie es hier eigentlich die 3 Boote auf gleicher Ebene schauen, wie es jetzt im Ziel aussieht.
Across the line, it's Lydia Heafy of Ireland, then the Italian sculler, then I think it's Elin Roll who's just done it over Sophia Miken here in the final sprint to take that last spot into the A final. Sophia Miken coming across in 4th position, and then we look back to Madeleine Arlott of Great Britain coming through in 5th, and Katrin Thoma of Germany through in 6th. They will contest the B final.
Was für ein Rennen auch in diesem zweiten Halbfinale. Die Irin hat dieses Rennen gewonnen und die Italienerin konnte ihren 2. Platz noch ganz knapp verteidigen. Und dann das Schweizer Duell hat Elin Roll für sich entschieden. Elin Roll damit im A-Finale und Sophia Miken im 4. Rang. Für sie geht es weiter mit dem B-Finale. 5. Rang für 5. Rang für Fiona Arlett aus Großbritannien und 6. Rang für Katrin Thoma.
Now on the course, the AB semifinals of the lightweight men's single sculls. From lane 1, we have Sweden, France 2, Ireland, France 1, Chile, and Japan. They're quickly through the 1,000-meter mark. So Camilla, how does it look to you?
Yeah, I mean, certainly we've been treated to some really close races coming through thick and fast, and this is no exception, although there is one very dominant figure coming from the centre of the lake, a name that most will recognise, Pierre Huard here in the lightweight men's single sculls. A failed selection for the lightweight men's double scull for France has seen him here, but he's not letting that put him off as he sits a length ahead of a battle for second place that is a three-way tie currently between Felipe Cardenas Morales, between Ferdinand Ludwig, Gary O'Donovan. They're all up there in the mix, and perhaps a surprise to see Gary O'Donovan trailing here in second place, well, joint second place, the Rio silver medalist from Skibbereen. I'm sure he'll be putting in quite the fight through this third 500 here.
Es ist Pierre Huard, der hier das Rennen im ersten Halbfinale des Männer-Leichtgewichtseiners anführt. Der Olympiasieger von 2016 von Rio führt hier etwa knappe 2 Längen vor dem Boot aus Irland, vor Gary O'Donovan. Dahinter ist es ganz eng zwischen Chile und dem Boot aus Frankreich. Von dem her, es ist noch viel Spannung in diesem Rennen drin. Wer kann diese 3 A-Finalplätze für sich beanspruchen?
So still Pierre Huard out controlling this race at the front of the field as the train zips past us here on the far side of the Rotsee. Just really cool and calm, 35 strokes a minute, letting the rest of the field scrap it out for these 3 spaces through to the A final. And as they approach the sprinting stages of this race, almost 500 metres to go now, I think in fact it's still Gary O'Donovan. As we said, we were sure we were going to see a great third 500 from him as he pokes his bow ball out into second place now ahead of the second boat from France, the silver under-23 medalist Ferdinand Ludwig in lane number 2, who still fights on with the Chilean sculler Cardenas Morales. Gillian.
That's absolutely right, Camilla. We're going to have to watch the Chilean just to see if he has a sprint. He's currently in that 4th spot, and he'll definitely be wanting to claim one of those 3 spots into the A final. But what a move from Gary O'Donovan in the third 500 meters of this race. And Ludwig Ferdinand just going with him as well as they try and push up on Olympic champion Pierre Huard.
Was für ein Feld. Wir haben nach wie vor den Olympiasieger im leichten Doppelzweier, Pierre Huard, hier in Führung, aber er wird angegriffen vom Silbermedaillengewinner an den Olympischen Spielen im Doppelzweier, Gary O'Donovan, der hier wirklich einen ganz starken dritten 400er gezeigt hat, und diese Boote sind jetzt in den roten Bojen, aber vor allem auch dahinter wird es spannend. Der Chilene, der hier wirklich die Schlagzahl auch erhöht hat und jetzt schneller unterwegs ist und in diesem Moment das zweite Boot aus Frankreich auch überholt hat, aber es ist hier Kopf an Kopf, respektive Bug an Bug.
Once again, we have 4 crews coming towards the line for just 3 spots, and it's all tightening up at the front of the pack. Everyone's closing in on Pierre Huard, who's up there at 36 strokes a minute, Gary O'Donovan at 37 strokes a minute, and Ferdinand Ludwig, France 2, up at 41 strokes a minute, trying to push back on Chile, who's gone up to 39 strokes a minute. These 4 crews are desperately trying to hang on. I just see a glance across from Pierre Huard to Gary O'Donovan just to see what he's doing, and a glance across from Ferdinand Ludwig of France as they come up towards the line. Pierre Huard just slipping back, I think, and Gary O'Donovan maybe taking that first spot, and the Chilean, I think, will hold on ahead of the French. That's across the line. Pierre Huard, Gary O'Donovan, and Chile through to the A final. France to Ferdinand Ludwig will just miss out, but what a cracking race for the first AB semi-final of the lightweight men's single sculls. We look back to Sweden, who will come through in 5th, and then Japan in 6th. Those 2 through to the B final.
Nur bei einer halben Sekunde getrennt die ersten 3 Boote. Es gewinnt Pierre Huard vor Gary O'Donovan aus Irland und dann Cardenas Morales aus Chile. Rang 4 und knapp nicht im A-Final. Damit ist das zweite Boot aus Frankreich, 5. Platz für Schweden und 6. Rang für Japan.
On the course now, the second AB semi-final of the lightweight men's single sculls. From lane 1, we have Germany 2, then Germany 1, Italy 2, Italy 1, Algeria 2, and Portugal. They're coming up to the 850-meter mark, and these two Italians out there in the front of the field, Camilla.
Right, Gillian, here in the centre of the lake, and they vie for two of those three spots through to the A final, joining the leaders of that previous race. But there are two ends of the sort of spectrum here with Italy. We've got the older, experienced Martino Goretti that leads the way ahead of Niels Torre, who is 14 years his junior, that sits just to the left of him. These two scullers look fantastic here as the sun starts to shine on the Rotze. Goretti with a length over Torre as they come through the 1,000-meter marker. Currently in third, well, it's Joachim Agner of Germany in lane number 2, but only half a length over the Algerian who raced the single at Rio back in 2016. The 31-year-old Sid Ali Boudina holds the African lightweight 2K record, so certainly we can expect to see him in the mix for these top 3 places. And as they scull away from us, still Goretti, Torre, and then just about Agner for Germany in that top 3 spots.
Ja, Martino Goretti, der erfahrene Italiener, führt hier das Rennen an. Etwa mehr als eine Länge vor seinem Kollegen Niels Torre. An der EM in Varese waren sie noch zusammen im Doppelvier unterwegs. Jetzt fahren sie gegeneinander und Martino Goretti spielt hier seine Erfahrung aus bei diesen Gegenwindbedingungen. Auf dem 3. Rang ist es immer noch der Ruderer aus Deutschland, Joachim Agner, der hier seinen A-Finalplatz momentan sichern kann, aber der Algerier versucht hier wieder dran zu kommen und auch das zweite deutsche Boot, Simon Klüter, ist noch nicht aus dem Rennen draußen.
Well, we've certainly said it time and time again. This third 500 metres is where the athletes, especially in the single sculls, really find where they measure up. And it's still the experienced Italian Martino Goretti, the current world champion in this boat class, showing his experience. The 35-year-old's been rowing for the Italian team since 2003. So he's putting all of that experience here into this semi-final and taking along his teammate Niels Torre that still sits in second. The 21-year-old was an under-23 world champion in the lightweight quadruple sculls, so contesting here in the single, a slightly different experience for him, but it must be great to be out there knowing that you and your teammates are leading the charge here in this event. That battle for third has just opened out a little bit with Joachim Agner just stamping his authority on that third and final slot through to the A final. We'll have to see if Boudina of Algeria, Gillian, has a bit of a sprint.
Yes, we absolutely will, Camilla. Boudina's currently rating at 34. He's just dropping back slightly, but maybe he can get his boat speed up as they come into the final sprint of this race. But as you've been calling, Martino Goretti out in the lead. Goretti not giving up on this race, not giving up on his rowing career just yet. He's waiting to see if he can row one more World Championships. That selection will happen in Italy sometime in August. But right now, he's currently beating his compatriot from Italy, Niels Torre, as they come into the final sprint.
Und die Boote kommen jetzt eigentlich gleich zu den roten Bojen, also die 250-Meter-Markierung. Und hinter dem führenden Duo aus Italien sieht es ganz, ganz gut aus für Joachim Agner. Er hat sich hier klar behauptet auf dem 3. Zwischenrang und bereits eine Distanz schaffen können gegenüber dem Algerier. Schwierig wird es hier noch einmal, beziehungsweise, Entschuldigung, ich korrigiere mich, gerade inzwischen auf dem 4. Zwischenrang sein Teamkollege Simon Klüter. Er hat sich hier am Algerier vorbeigeschoben und ist jetzt aber nach wie vor eine gute Bootslänge hinter Joachim Agner. Also aktueller Zwischenstand, die beiden Boote aus Italien, Martino Goretti, Niels Torre vor Joachim Agner. Es sind noch knapp 100 Meter zu rudern.
So Joachim Agner, just of Germany, won, just securing his third spot here as he glances over his right shoulder to see his compatriot from Germany, to Simon Klüter, who's just trying to get ahead and secure that spot into the A final. But I think it's going to be too little, too late. Coming across the line now, Martino Goretti of Italy 1 will take the first spot through to the A final. He'll be followed by Niels Torre of Italy 2 and Joachim Agner of Germany 1. Those three through to the A final. Then we have Simon Klüter of Germany 2. He will go through to the B final. He will be joined by Sid Ali Boudina of Algeria 2 and Dennis Costa of Portugal.
Und gewonnen wird das Rennen von Martino Gorretti, er sowie das zweite Boot aus Italien und Joachim Agne qualifizieren sich für den A-Final mit ihren ersten 3 Plätzen. Dahinter dann Simon Klüter, er verpasst das A-Finale knapp und wird in den B-Final verwiesen, genauso wie das Boot aus Algerien und Portugal.
We just have a few minutes break here. We'll start up with the repechage of the women's pair at 11 o'clock.
Jetzt haben wir eine kurze Pause. Das nächste Rennen startet um 11:00 Uhr. Es ist der Frauenzweier ohne Hoffnungslauf.
World Rowing. The World Rowing Federation is the governing body of the sport of rowing. It's empowered by its 156 member national rowing federations, the National Olympic Committees, and the International Olympic Committee. World Rowing sets the rules and regulations for the practice of sport in all its forms: elite, para-rowing, coastal, masters, and aspects of indoor, and provides advice and expertise for the organization of rowing regattas, coaching education, rowing development, and other matters relating to the sport and its development. World Rowing sponsors. World Rowing Cup 2 Lucerne 2021 would like to thank the following international sponsors and partners for their support. WWF. WWF, one of the world's largest and most respected independent nature conservation organizations, is working to protect freshwater ecosystems and improve water access, efficiency, and allocation for people and the environment. One of the aims of the strategic alliance between WWF and World Rowing is to harness rowers all around the world to take actions that will protect water. KRRC, the Kafue River and Rowing Center. World Rowing, together with the WWF, the Worldwide Fund for Nature, is building a water research and rowing center in Kafue, Africa. It will be a place where water scientists and students from schools and universities around the world can research, study problems, find solutions, and share their results with all of us. Thanks to your donation so far, this center is becoming a reality. The land has been purchased, architects are designing the layout, and construction will soon commence. Even so, World Rowing and WWF still need your support. Please make a donation towards this center on our worldrowing.com website.
World Rowing und die Lucerne Regatta danken den folgenden Schweizer Partnern.
World Rowing and the Lucerne Regatta would like to thank the following Swiss partners.
Schindler. Bei der Digitalisierung des Aufzugsgeschäfts ist Schindler eine Bootslänge voraus. Dank digitaler Vernetzung werden Probleme behoben, bevor sie entstehen. Hinter dieser Leistung stehen mehr als 65.000 Mitarbeitende in über 100 Ländern.
When it comes to digitalizing the elevator business, Schindler is way ahead. Thanks to digital networking, problems are solved before they even occur. More than 65,000 employees in over 100 countries are behind this achievement.
Hirslanden. Die Klinik St. Anna ist der Medical Partner der Lucerne Regatta.
Our medical partner of the Lucerne Regatta, Clinic St. Anna Lucerne, member of the Hirslanden Group.
Phänomen. Phänomen Mode und Lifestyle. Der Mode eine Bootslänge voraus. Das phänomenale Modehaus für Sie und ihn mitten in der Altstadt von Luzern. Dort macht Einkaufen Spaß.
Phänomen Fashion and Lifestyle, a boat length ahead in fashion. The exceptional fashion store for both ladies and men in the center of Lucerne's Old Town. Enjoy shopping at Phänomen.
Erima. Erima Sportswear. Dein kompetenter Teamsportausrüster, auch für deinen Verein. Erima ist offizieller Bekleidungspartner der Lucerne Regatta.
Arima Sportswear, the team sports clothing specialist. Official sportswear partner of the Lucerne Regatta.
Eichhof. Genießen Sie jetzt das erfrischendste Eichhof aller Zeiten. Das spritzige Eichhof Radler. Ein anregendes und leichtes Genusserlebnis mit natürlichem Zitronensaft und nur 2% Alkohol.
Enjoy the most refreshing Eichhof of all times now. The most tangy Eichhof Radler. A brisk and light enjoyment with natural lemon juice and only 2% alcohol.
Ramsayer. Ramsayer Swiss AG ist mit den Traditionsmarken Ramsayer, Sinalco und Elmer der Erfrischungspartner für die Lucerne Regatta.
Ramsair Swiss AG, soft drink producer with a long-standing tradition, soft drink sponsor of the Lucerne Regatta.
Schweizerische Lebensrettungsgesellschaft. Wir wünschen allen einen ungetrübten Rudersport. Sicher im, am und auf dem Wasser, dank den Rettungsschwimmern der Schweizerischen Lebensrettungsgesellschaft SLRG. Der Sicherungsdienst der Lucerne Regatta.
SLRG, the Swiss Life Saving Society, wishes all competitors a successful and secure event. The SLRG is present for all safety issues in, on, and around the water at the Lucerne Regatta. Partner for water rescue services for the Lucerne Regatta.
ZSO Pilatus, Zivilschutz Emme. Ohne unsere geschätzten Zivilschützer ZSO Pilatus und Zivilschutz Emme könnten wir die Lucerne Regatta nicht ausrichten. Herzlichen Dank und einen Applaus für den tollen Einsatz.
ZSO Pilatus and Zivilschutz Emma, two sections of the Civil Protection Service of Switzerland, providing outstanding support in staging the Lucerne Regatta.
Swiss Rowing, die Host Federation der Lucerne Regatta, heißt die weltbesten Ruderinnen und Ruderer willkommen. Und für alle, die noch nicht zur Weltspitze gehören, bietet Swiss Rowing 80 Ruderclubs und 20 Regatten, um ihre Leidenschaft zu leben.
The host federation of the World Rowing Cup 2, Lucerne, is honored to welcome the world's best rowers. And for all those who are not yet among the world's best, Swiss Rowing offers 80 rowing clubs and 20 regattas to experience the passion of rowing.
SRF. Ein Sporthighlight verpasst? Kein Problem. Mit den Sendern und Online-Plattformen der SRG SSR sehen Sie alle Sporthighlights täglich und in Wiederholungen. Das Schweizer Radio und Fernsehen SRF ist stolz, der offizielle Broadcast-Partner der Lucerne Regatta zu sein.
SRF, the official TV media partner of the Lucerne Regatta.
Luzerner Zeitung. Die Berichterstattung über die Lucerne Regatta und die offiziellen Resultate finden Sie jederzeit auf luzernerzeitung.ch.
The official Lucerne Regatta's results and comments can be found anytime online at luzernezeitung.ch.
Radio Pilatus. Offizieller Medienpartner der Lucerne Regatta, Radio Pilatus.
Radio Pilatus, the radio station of our region, official media partner of the Lucerne Regatta.
Tele 1, Zentralschweizer Fernsehen. Mies Eis in der Region.
Tele 1, the TV station of Central Switzerland, local TV media partner of the Lucerne Regatta.
Karl F. Bucherer. Seit 1888 steht die Luzerner Uhrenmanufaktur Karl F. Bucherer für Qualität, Innovation und Leidenschaft. Der Karl F. Bucherer Spezialpreis zeichnet daher die Sieger im Frauen- und Männereiner in Luzern für deren außergewöhnliche Leistungen mit einer exklusiven Luxusuhr aus der eigenen Manufaktur aus.
Karl F. Bucher. Since its establishment in 1888, the Lucerne watch manufacturer Karl F. Bucher stands for quality, innovation, and passion. The Karl F. Bucher Special Award honors the winners of the men's and women's single race for their extraordinary performance, each with an exclusive Swiss manufactured luxury watch. So we head back up to the starting line for the repechage race in the women's pair. 1 through 4 crews will go through to the A final out of this repechage in the women's pair. In lane 1 is China. In lane 2, Ireland 1. In lane 3, Chile. In lane 4, the Czech Republic. And in lane 5, Ireland 2.
Und wir sind wieder bereit für den Hoffnungslauf im Frauen-Zweier. Wir haben Bahn 1 China, Bahn 2 Irland 1, Bahn 3 Chile, Bahn 4 Tschechien, Bahn 5 Irland, das zweite Boot.
This crew from Ireland won in the second lane. They just missed out behind Spain to qualify directly to the A final. Crowley and Dukarskar lining up there in lane 2 for Ireland 1. Those last few minutes up there at the start, they're just checking everything over, checking their boat over and getting ready to race in this repechage of the women's pair. I think we'll expect a very close race from these 5 crews, just 4 going through to the A final. So a race not to be last in the repechage of the women's pair. They're under the starters' commands up there at the start and just about 20 seconds until they get underway. And they're off. A very fast start across the board from the women's pairs race, the repechage race here. We'll expect to see a quick race from the Irish there in lane 2. But of course, Chile and the Czech Republic, they're all of them in the center lanes here of this repechage race. But poking their nose out first is the crew from Chile, Melita and Antonia Abraham. These two sisters coming out of that quadruplets from Chile. The other two brothers from that set of quadruplets are also racing here, but in two different boats, in the men's pair and the men's double sculls. But Chile getting out to a nice lead here just ahead of Ireland 1.
Und die Boote sind rausgeschossen, kann man schon fast sagen. Und gerade in Führung waren noch die Chileninnen. Sie sind es jetzt auch wieder, man kann eigentlich nicht von einer Führung sprechen. Sie sind hier Bug an Bug mit den Irinnen aus dem Start geschossen. Und gleich dahinter auch das Boot aus China. Also diese 3 Boote, die bewegen sich am schnellsten Richtung 500-Meter-Marke. Und es gibt 4 Plätze fürs A-Finale. Das chilenische Boot, das hier in Führung ist, das sind die beiden Schwestern, Zwillingsschwestern Melita Abraham und Antonia Abraham. Und das sind insgesamt sogar Vierlinge. Wir haben ihre Brüder im Männerdoppel-Zweier und Zweier ohne gesehen. Also das ist eine ganz beeindruckende Geschwisterbande, die hier unterwegs ist. Und die Chileninnen, die führen, aber nach wie vor nur einen Hauch vor den Athletinnen aus Irland.
So just Ireland 2 and the Czech Republic slightly off the pace here. But again, 4 will go through to the A final. So it might be a very tough fight between those two crews to determine that A final in the women's pair. This Irish 2 boat, they come out of the under 23 women's 4 that finished with a silver medal a few years ago, back in 2019. But the Czech Republic just falling off slightly behind them. They raced here at the final qualification regatta last week and just missed out on qualification, along with Chile actually there in the center lane. But as they are approaching the 650-meter mark, Chile out in the lead together with Ireland 1 and China. We'll hand it over to you, Camilla, out there on the water. Chile looking good in this repechage of the women's pair.
Yeah, Chile looking great, and they've had some experience, like you say, of racing on the Rothsay this week, having come straight from the final Olympic qualification regatta. Antonia and Melita Abraham just tapping it along here into the gusty winds that we've still got here, a little bit more overcast. The sun's disappeared just for now, but 37 strokes a minute as they come towards us here at the 1,000-meter marker and chased closely by Dakaska and Crowley of Ireland 1. This Irish combination have already qualified this boat for the Olympic Games back at the Linz World Championship, so they'll want to certainly start to make moves on Chile, who unfortunately missed out at the FOQR last weekend, if they want to be in the mix come the Tokyo Games this summer. But lots of experience at the helm of the Irish crew. Monica Dakaska, the 2-time coastal world champion, now here in the fine boats, just looking to move through as they come towards the 1,000-meter marker. They're the equal fastest boat on the water, alongside Ireland 2, who are starting to creep up in lane number 6. Tara Hanlon and Claire Feerick now just wanting to put pressure on China, that will sit in third through the 1,000. So it's Chile 3/4 of a length ahead of Ireland 1. It's then China, but a couple of centimetres ahead of the fast-moving Ireland 2, and the Czech Republic in that danger spot in 5th.
Ja, die Abraham-Schwestern aus Chile, sie führen hier diesen Hoffnungslauf an vor dem Boot 1 aus Irland und den Chinesinnen. Aber eigentlich am interessantesten ist das Rennen um den 4. Platz zwischen Irland 2 und Tschechien. Denn nur die ersten 4 Boote werden auch dann morgen im H-Finale zu sehen sein und nur das letzte Boot wird ausscheiden. Momentan sieht es so aus, dass es das Boot aus Tschechien ist, welches hier den Cut nicht schafft, aber man kann noch nichts verschreien. Wir sind gespannt, wie sich das Rennen auf den letzten 800 Metern entwickeln wird.
So the race not to be last is still the Abraham sisters of Chile in the centre of this lake. But as they approach 500 metres to go, a huge lever from Tara Hanlon in the stroke seat of Ireland 2 to pull them up alongside third place for China. She's really got a lever here, Tim.
Yeah, Camilla, thank you. It's looking very good for the crew from Chile, but there is a challenge being laid down by the crew from Ireland, the first Irish crew with Eileen Crowley in the bow seat. They are trying to sneak up on the crew from Chile, just 3/4 of a boat length behind the leading pair from the Abraham twins, who are still in the lead, but look vulnerable as they still have 500 meters left to row. The Irish crew seem to be charging towards the front of the field, and going with them is the crew from China on the far side from my commentary position, currently having a great race and battling it out with Tara Hanlon and Claire Ferrick from the second Irish pair in third position. But the crew from the Czech Republic still not out of it. Everything to play for with 500 meters left to row for those crews. So the race not to be last and get into the A final is still on, but it's looking very good for the crew from Chile from my position. Back to you, Gillian.
Thanks, Tim. Yes, that's absolutely true. Chile looking fantastic out in the lead, but I want to keep an eye on this fifth position because right now the Czech Republic and China are actually battling it out. China, they were third at the 500-meter mark, third at the 1,000-meter mark, but they're just slipping back through the second half of the race, and I think it might be possible still for the Czech Republic to overhaul that Chinese crew and secure a spot in the A final.
Und in diesem Rennen geht es ja darum, nicht Letzter zu werden, um dann auch noch ins A-Final vorzustoßen. Und lange hat es gut ausgesehen für die Chinesinnen. Sie waren bei der 1000-Meter-Marke noch Dritte, sie fallen aber leicht zurück. Und in diesem Moment hat das Boot aus der Tschechischen Republik übernommen. Und hier sehen wir gerade ein bisschen Probleme mit dem Ausrichten auf der Bahn 1. Das chinesische Boot hat hier also Probleme gehabt. Das ist jetzt natürlich ganz schwierig, da wieder zurückzukommen.
Yeah, that's exactly right. The Chinese just correcting a steering problem there in their boat. I think that has lost them a little bit of speed and allowed the Czech Republic to move up into that fourth position, looking to go through to the A final, but China desperately sprinting to get back into contention and see if they can move up after that little steering glitch that they had there in the red buoys. But coming up to the line, Chile fending off the Irish sprint out in the lead. Ireland trying to secure that top spot over Chile. A little bit of a race for pride here from the Irish because they will go through to the A final, but up to the line, Ireland won, taking the first spot through to the A final. Chile coming through in second, they'll take the second spot through, then Ireland 2 coming through in third, they will go through to the A final, and the Czech Republic has taken advantage of that little glitch in the Chinese boat to secure their spot through to the A final. China will just miss out.
Und die Irinnen haben diesen Hoffnungslauf gewonnen vor den Chileninnen und dem zweiten Boot aus Irland sowie den Tschechinnen, und der 5. Rang und damit nicht qualifiziert als einziges Boot für das A-Final ist China. Sie konnten diese Probleme dann nicht mehr wieder gut machen auf den letzten Metern.
We head back up towards the starting line for the first of 2 repechages in the men's pair. In lane 1, Germany. In lane 2, Belarus. In lane 3, Great Britain. And in lane 4, Spain. Switzerland has withdrawn from this race due to medical reasons. But as these crews come up towards 850 meters, Great Britain out in the lead, being charged by the Spanish and the crew from Belarus. Camilla.
The British combination out in front here of Matt Tarrant and Ollie Wilkes. This combination, technically the spare pair until Balding and Glenister failed to qualify for the Olympic Games last weekend. But they're still here racing 3/4 of a length up here on the Belarusians, who are in turn half a length up on Spain. This combination of Tarrant and Wilkes, both Oxford Brookes University alumni, and I'm sure the guys from Walton Rowing Club will be tuning in to listen to Matt Tarrant, who strokes this boat down the course at 36 strokes a minute. They hold this 3/4 of a length lead ahead of Belarus, and in fact it's the Spanish now charging to try and get one of those 2 spots to nab that off the Belarusians.
Im Männer-Zweierrunde, im Hoffnungslauf sind 2 Plätze zu vergeben für das A-Finale. Im Moment sind es die Briten, welche hier das Rennen anführen. Etwa 3/4 Länge vor dem Boot aus Weißrussland, aber auch die Spanier sind noch dabei und die WM-Fünften von Linz werden hier alles versuchen, auf den zweiten 1000 Metern wieder an das Führungsduo aus Weißrussland und Großbritannien heranzufahren. Die Briten sind der Ersatz-Zweierrunde. Ihre Kollegen konnten sich letzte Woche leider nicht für die Olympischen Spiele qualifizieren und es ist das erste Mal seit 1968, dass kein britischer Zweierrunde an den Olympischen Spielen vertreten sein wird.
So as they rattle towards 500 metres to go, still Great Britain in the lead, but Velazco and Furman of Belarus being forced to respond to the Spanish charge here, Tim.
Definitely, Camilla. It's the British crew still out, but the Spanish, the bronze medalist from the World Cup in Zagreb a couple of weeks ago, are having quite a lot of work to do in the final 500 meters because out in front it is that Oxford-Brooks combination from Great Britain with Matthew Tarrant stroking very well, nice clean catches and all the way to the finish, but they haven't been able to shake off the crew from Belarus, still in second position with some overlap with the British stern, but a great race from that crew too, with Velazco in the stroke seat. He hammers along 38 strokes a minute onto a place into the A final, it seems, with 300 meters to go. Great Britain in the lead, followed by Belarus, followed by Spain, and the crew from Germany on the far side from my commentary position. They are out of it, but it looks good for Great Britain and Belarus, Gideon.
That's absolutely right, Tim. We're just going to keep an eye on the Spanish to see if they have a sprint to try and get back into contention. One of those 2 spots through to the A final. And if my German is any good, I think my co-commentator Michael Schmidt saying this is the first time a British men's pair hasn't been at the Olympic Games since 1968. But this pair out here looking fantastic in the lead ahead of Belarus as they come towards the finish tower.
Und die Boote sind in den roten Bojen und nach wie vor in Führung das britische Boot vor Belarus. Diese beiden Boote, nämlich 2 Plätze gibt es fürs A-Final. Da will Spanien noch ein Wörtchen mitreden, aber das wird sehr schwierig. Hier auf den letzten Metern sind sie wahrscheinlich zu stark zurückgebunden. Das Gleiche gilt für Maximilian Kroge und Marc Leske, die im Moment auf dem 4. Platz rudern. Und vielleicht haben sie auf ihrer Startliste auch noch das Schweizer Boot. Dieses musste sich aus medizinischen Gründen vom Rennen zurückziehen.
So the British just winding it down a little bit as they know they're looking safe to make it into the A final here for the men's pair. They come up to the line to take that first spot through from this first repechage. They'll be followed by Belarus going through to the A final. Spain will come through in third. That will send them through to the B final and they'll be joined there by Germany.
Und das Rennen wurde gewonnen von Großbritannien vor Belarus. Diese beiden Boote gehen damit ins A-Finale. Rang 3 für Spanien vor Deutschland. Diese beiden Boote finden sich im B-Finale.
Up next, the second repechage in the men's pair. In lane 1, Italy. In lane 2, South Africa. In lane 3, Romania. In lane 4, France 2. And in lane 5, Chile. These crews are already through the 500-meter mark and making the best of it. At that point was the South Africans, but Romania is hot on their tails. And as I'm speaking, that lead is just shifting. They're coming up to the 800-meter mark, and I think we're looking at another cracking race in the men's pair, Camilla.
Yes, and as to the form book, it's the centre lanes that lead the way here. It was the South Africans, Jake Green and Luke Dauphin, that have been stepping through this second 500 metres into the lead, but the Romanians not happy with that at all. Tedosa and Kosmic, the gold medalists from the Poznan European Championships and silver medalists from the World Champs 3 years ago in 2018, now really winding through, and in typical Romanian style, are up at 39 strokes a minute coming into the 1,000-metre marker. It's whether the South Africans can respond, though. This pairing, coached by Marco Galone, have been training up in the hills of Lesotho in Africa, and that training camp certainly paying off, putting them in the top 2 spots. But here comes a huge charge from the Italians. What a move to watch in person here from the far side of the lake as they pierce through the South Africans into the top 2 spots.
Ja, die auf den ersten 1000 Metern waren es die Südafrikaner, welche hier das Rennen angeführt haben. Aber jetzt bei der 1000 Meter Marke haben die Rumänen und die Italiener die Südafrikaner überholt und machen hier mächtig Druck, dass sie sich etwas absetzen können. Gerade die Italiener von diesem Boot wissen wir, sie können sehr schnelle letzte 1000 Meter fahren. Auch die Sinkovic-Brüder haben dies schon erfahren, wie zum Beispiel an den Weltmeisterschaften in Sarasota vor 4 Jahren.
Well, there's going to be a huge upset here in one way or another. The Romanians currently still leading, but the Italians, Vicino and Lodo, 4th in the world back in 2019, now leading the South Africans for the crucial second spot through to the A final. The other crew that's going to be upset to be hanging off the back of this are the Onfoy brothers. They're obviously here competing against their teammates for that slot for the men's pair, and we'll see them, the two a little bit later on, but they are out of the mix for these top 2 spots along with Chile a few lengths back on this leading pack. But Tim, what a race for the top 2 spots here.
Yeah, Camilla, definitely marvellous to watch here as they approach my commentary position at 1500. It's a great race from the Italian duo of Lodo and Vicino, who are trying to get their baubles in front, but it's going to be a great drive towards the finish with 3 crews still in it for just 2 places into the A final. And I think the Italians made a little move in the third 500 to get into the lead, but it's almost level pegging with the crew from Romania as they pass the 1500, with the South African pair just slipping back ever so slightly, but we know that crew can race a great sprint to the line. But it's looking good for the Azzurri, the Italians on the far side from my commentary position, and the Romanians. But what a charge. Who do you reckon, Gillian, is going to take 1 and 2 to the A final?
Oh, Tim, this is going to be such a close race, and the speeds out there on the water, the rates out there on the water, the Italians and the Romanians coming down the course at 41 strokes a minute for almost the entire race. The Italians are just making the slightly better boat speed at the moment, but not a huge surprise from Vicino and Lodo. We know them, we know their boat speed, and we also know they've got a good sprint. So coming up to the line, Italy still leading Romania.
Ja, und wirklich, was für eine Performance von diesen Booten. Schlagzahl 40 im italienischen Boot, sogar Schlagzahl 42 im rumänischen Boot. Sie müssen auch nochmals aufdrehen, wenn sie hier in diesem Hoffnungslauf vielleicht sogar noch die Italiener überholen wollen. Aber es geht ja eigentlich auch um diese ersten beiden Plätze, die fürs A-Final berechtigen. Und da war Südafrika auch lange auf Kurs, aber sie sind jetzt zurückgefallen, können auch nicht ganz mit dem Bootspeed der beiden führenden Boote mithalten. Von daher sieht es sehr, sehr gut aus für Italien und Rumänien.
So it's an interesting race strategy. The Italians have actually lowered their rate as they come into the final sprint, and Romania as well. So they've decided to do it in the third 500 meters to make that move, and then they can profit as they come up towards the line. So Vicino and Lodo of Italy will take the first spot through out of this repechage race to the A final. Romania taking that second spot to join them in the A final, and then it's South Africa who will just miss out. They will head to the B final. They'll be joined together with France to the Onfoy brothers, and then Chile also joining in the B final.
Italien also diese wichtige Differenz geschaffen und hat vor Rumänien das Rennen gewonnen und damit diese beiden Boote im A-Final, dieses A-Final verpassen. Die Athleten aus Südafrika im 3. Rang, Frankreich im 4. Rang und Chile im 5.
Coming down the course now, the repechage race of the women's double sculls. In lane 1, Italy 2. In lane 2, Italy 1. In lane 3, China 1. In lane 4, Netherlands 2. And in lane 5, China 2. These crews already through 500 meters, and currently making the best of it is the crew from the Netherlands, Tessa Dollemans and Ilse Kolkman. And the Dutch are just trying to hold off a charge here in the center lanes from China. They're coming up on 750 meter mark, Camilla.
Yeah, this Dutch combination stepping up from the under-23s and the straightman Ilse Kolkman, the under-23 silver medalist in the women's 8 back in 2018, just trying to cling on to the Chinese charge through this second 500 meters. But this Chinese combination, brand new, Zheng Xingma and Li Jingzhou are just 23 and 26 respectively, and new into this field in the women's double. And as they move towards us here at the 1,000-meter marker, they sit just a few centimeters back in the center of the lake. In third at the moment, well, that looks like it's with the Italians, Clara Guerra, the new addition into the stroke seat here with Stefania Buttignon, a stable fixture of the double, in fact, for the Italians, having raced this boat class at the World Championships in 2019, but joined by the rising star, Clara Guerra, who is from the group of athletes known as the Fiamgiali in Italy. So I'm sure they'll be tuning in, and as we approach halfway, it's going to be the Netherlands still clinching on to that bow ball ahead of China. It's then half a length back to Italy. Italy 1 ahead of Italy 2, and then China 2 a length clear out the back.
Während auf den ersten 1000 Metern die Niederländerinnen und die Chinesinnen das Tempo angegeben haben, macht jetzt nun das italienische erste Boot mächtig Druck. Die Schlagfrau Clara Guerra, welche 2018 noch als Leichtgewicht unterwegs war, macht hier einen fantastischen Job und bringt ihr Boot wieder in Tuchfühlung mit den beiden führenden Booten aus China und den Niederlanden.
Well, lots of encouragement from the bank here, and rightly so, as this is going to be a tight spot for those two direct qualifications through to the A final, avoiding the B final, and has the race maturity of the young Dutch just not quite matured enough here to secure these top two spaces, Tim, as Italy start to move through the field with China?
Yes, Camilla, I think it's the Italian first crew who were also the fastest of this repechage in the heats yesterday. So all eyes will be drawn to their performance in this third quarter of the race. I think the Dutch crew have gone for a race plan to stack the first kilometer and see what they can do in the last part and maybe get in front. But I think they have to pay for their early efforts. But it's still very close, and everything is still possible for the three crews in the center lanes, with Italy 1 now trying to break clear of the rest of the field to claim one of those two spots to the A final. But the Dutch still not out of it, but they have to watch to the second crew from Italy in lane number 1 on the far side from my commentary position, who are still vying for that second position. But a great recovery. I thought the crew from the Netherlands were dropping back, but they have actually still have overlap with the first crew from Italy, with Clara Guerra in the stroke seat. So those two crews at the 1500 meters looking to get into the A final, which would be a great performance from the Dutch crew, the young Dutch crew. And the second Chinese boat just passing my commentary position now. I think that crew is out of contention, but it's still everything to play for with 350 meters to go. It's going to be Italy 1 in the lead, but can the second Italian crew clinch the second spot into the A final, Gillian?
Yeah, Tim, I don't know. I'm still seeing the Dutch going quite well at this stage in the race, but you're right. The second Italian boat is trying to push back on them, and that's drawing them up through the first Chinese boat as well. So I think we're going to have a very close race as they come into the red buoys.
Und die Boote oder das führende Boot aus Italien kommt jetzt in die roten Bojen und nach wie vor sind sie in Führung vor den Holländerinnen. Dahinter haben sich die Italienerinnen an den Chinesinnen vorbeigeschoben und durch dieses Duell, und sie haben jetzt eine Schlagzahl von 40 Schlägen pro Minute, die Italienerinnen auf Bahn 1, also das zweite Boot. Und das gibt ihnen natürlich Bootspeed, aber ob das nochmal reicht, um in einen von den ersten beiden Plätzen zurückzukehren, es wird ganz schwierig.
The Dutch have gone for it again, and they're pushing back on the Chinese and that second Italian boat. Italy won, still out in the lead as they come up to the finish line. I think the Dutch are going to hold on to this. They went out hard, and they managed to hang on to it. That's a very impressive row from this young Dutch combination, and Italy won, just striding out here as they come up towards the line, stroked by Clara Guerra, and they will take the first spot through to the A final out of this repechage in the women's double sculls, and the Netherlands have hung on to it. They will take the second spot through to the A final. Italy 2 coming through in third. Then we have China 1 in fourth and China 2 in fifth.
Und dieser Hoffnungslauf wurde gewonnen vom Italien, das erste Boot, vor Niederlanden 2, Italien 3, China und China das zweite Boot. Und damit gehen ins Finale Italien das erste Boot und Holland das zweite Boot.
On the course now, the AB semi-final of the men's double sculls. Highly anticipated race here in the first AB semi-final. In lane 1, Romania, then France, China, Poland, Switzerland 1 and the Czech Republic.
Und im ersten Halbfinale des Männerdoppel-Zweiers auch am Start Barnaby Delars und Roman Rösli auf Bahn 5.
So Camilla and Michi, we've really been looking forward to this race, this vicious semi-final in the men's double sculls. How's it shaping up out there?
Yeah, this is certainly the commentary team's pick of the day for the race. So if you're joining us here in the athlete area, a good one to watch and tuning in on worldrowing.com. Hello to our audience around the world. And it's the first time we're seeing the French and the Chinese go up against each other this season. The Chinese world champions from Linz back in 2019, but the French have just been unstoppable this season as world champions back in 2018, but European champions heading into this race. And they are so close coming through the thousands. It's the Chinese combination of Zhonglong and Lu Jiu that has got a canvas over the combination of Androdias and Boucheron, but it's that third and final space that's also going to be hotly contended. Every single crew in this field with a lot of caliber, and it's the Swiss, it's Rösli and Delars. They said that they were going to go out hard in the first 1,000 meters when Michiel just spoke to them earlier in the week, and it certainly looks like they've done that.
Ja, wir alle haben auf dieses Rennen gewartet. Es ist das Rennen des Tages und momentan sind es die Chinesen, welche das Rennen hier anführen. Ganz knapp vor den Europameistern als Frankreich auf der dritten Position. Momentan das Schweizer Boot, welche sich etwas absetzen konnten vor dem polnischen Boot und dem Boot aus Rumänien. Aber es ist noch gar nichts entschieden hier. Es sind immer noch 600 Meter zu rudern und wir sind unglaublich gespannt, welche drei Boote ins A-Final fahren werden.
Well, with every single stroke through this third 500 meters, the lead switches between the French and the Chinese. France is Mathieu Androdias just really wanting to take them through. This could be the final, Tim.
Yeah, definitely, Camilla. This could be the final with the reigning world champions and the reigning European champions going absolutely stroke for stroke towards the line. There's 500 meters left to row, and I think the French have, a quarter of a canvas advantage. So it's absolutely level pegging with 500 meters to go, and it looks very good for the crew from Switzerland too. They have third position firmly in their grasp, but there is still a very quick crew from Poland in fourth position, and watch the far side, the Romanian crew still having a good sprint finish to come, I think, in the final 500 meter. But it's great racing between China and France for first position and bragging rights into the A final, Gillian.
That's right, Tim. This is absolutely the race we were waiting for. The French and the Chinese just going at it at the front of the field. And I think you're right. They're going for the bragging rights. The Chinese just have the better of it, but they're up at 40 strokes a minute. Can the French come back? They're down at 35. They've got another gear as they come into the red buoy. Switzerland holding on to that third spot into the A final.
Und was für ein Duell an der Spitze dieses hochkarätigen Halbfinals. China, die amtierenden Weltmeister gegen Frankreich, die amtierenden Europameister gehen hier nach wie vor Bug an Bug mit leichten Vorteilen für China. Und dann natürlich sehr erfreulich haben wir im dritten Zwischenrang Roman Rösli und Barnabé Delars. Aber die Rumänen, die haben jetzt die Schlagzahl auf 41 hochgeschaltet und die greifen die Schweizer an. Hier müssen sie jetzt reagieren auf den letzten Metern. Das wird eine ganz spannende Sache und auch die Polen kommen nochmals ran. Aber Barnabé Delars und Roman Rösli, die haben reagiert und wir wissen, dass ihr Sport auch ganz, ganz stark ist.
So the French just slipping back behind the Chinese stretching out slightly, the Swiss watching out for the Romanian charge on the near side towards the finish tower, but as they come up to the line, those positions I think will remain the same. China will take the first spot, France second, Switzerland third, through to the A final, just ahead of a charging crew from Romania and Poland. Those two through to the B final. They will go with the Czech Republic finishing in sixth, will also go through to the B final, but a fantastic race as we expected in the first semi-final of the men's double sculls.
Was für ein Rennen, dieses erste Halbfinal, gewonnen von den amtierenden Weltmeistern China vor Frankreich und ganz erfreulich aus Schweizer Sicht Rang 3 für Roman Rösli und Barnabé Delars. Diese Boote damit im Finale, das Finale verpasst haben Rumänien im 4. Rang, Polen im 5. und Tschechien im 6. Sie sind damit fürs B-Finale qualifiziert.
Now on the course, the second AB semi-final of the men's double sculls. In lane 1, Lithuania. Lane 2, Great Britain 1. In lane 3, Netherlands 1. Lane 4, Ireland. Lane 5, Germany. And in lane 6, Great Britain 2. This is going to be another cracking race out there on the water. The Germans currently have the advantage, but of course that center lane, the Irish and the Dutch, we'd be expecting them to move through the middle portion of this race. They're coming up towards you, Camilla and Michi. How do you see it from out there on the water?
Yeah, Gillian, the calibre of this men's double field is just sensational, and perhaps a surprise to see the German crew of Mark Wieber and Stefan Kruger out in front. This crew, coached by Carsten Timm, has an under-23 world champion in the driving seat back from Sarasota in 2019 in Mark Wieber, but they might just have pushed off too hard given the experienced field that sits just to their right, as they've got three crews there that certainly pack a punch. The best of the rest currently, well, Great Britain currently in second place. John Collins and Graham Thomas of Agecroft, coached by Dan Moore, have been up in the medals over the last season or so, but as they come towards us here at the 1,000 metres, they're going to be challenged heavily by the Dutch that sit just to their left, who start to move through now, challenging for that second place. Steph Bruynink out of the single scull into this double with Malvin Tuela, the under-23 silver medalist from this category back in 2018. They sit half a length back now, maybe just shy of that actually, a quarter of a length back on the British, and they're moving through. And Ireland, the world silver medalist, still in the mix. This is going to be a sensational race.
Auch im zweiten Halbfinale des Männer-Doppelzweiers haben wir unglaublich starke Boote am Start und es ist extrem eng um die ersten 3 Plätze. Momentan führt noch das Boot aus Deutschland, welche einen schnellen Start hingelegt haben und so die anderen Boote unter Druck gesetzt haben. Insbesondere die Irländer, die momentan auf dem 4. Platz rudern. Aber wir kennen die Irländer, sie werden am Schluss sicherlich nochmals aufdrehen können und versuchen, die Deutschen von diesem A-Finalplatz zu verdrängen.
Well, only 3 spots through to the A final in this men's double scull, and as they came away from us, it was actually the Dutch that were changing gear. Steph Bruynink in the stroke seat, Tim, just trying to take them into second place behind the Germans.
Yeah, thanks, Camilla. It's been a standard race plan for that Dutch double to move in the third quarter of the race, and they like to lay down the gauntlet in the third quarter and see who can move with them to the front of the field. But that crew from the Netherlands still trying to get into the lead, trying to at least get a final position, because it's the very quick crew from Germany actually still in contention, from Krüger and Weber. The experienced hand in the bow seat, just I think 15 centimeters in front of the Dutch crew. Small look to the left by Melvin Twellaert in the bow seat of that Dutch double, who are trying to move into the front of the race, trying to win this semi-final. And on the far side we still have that Great Britain 1 combination of Thomas and Collins moving with them to get a spot into the A final. But it's a very good racing from all the crews, with Ireland still having some work to do. But as I say that, the Irish raised their rates up to 41 strokes a minute to claw back the deficit and get into the A final.
Yeah, Tim, that's a good shout. The Irish making their move as we'd expect in the final sprint. But what a race from the Germans. It's a little bit of a surprise for me to see this German crew still out in the lead. The Dutch haven't managed to get back on them. But once again, we have 4 crews coming towards the line for just 3 spots into the A final.
Ganz starkes Rennen von Stefan Krüger und Mark Weber. Sie führen hier bei gut 1800 geruderten Metern, aber dahinter, es schließt sich alles zusammen, es schließt sich auch zu ihnen auf. Die Iren haben soeben den Puckball an den Deutschen vorbeigeschoben, aber Großbritannien und Holland sind da auch nur nicht mal einen ganzen Luftkastenlänge dahinter. Also diese 4 führenden Boote kommen jetzt auf uns zu und können hier die Deutschen nochmals die Schlagzahl erhöhen und nochmals reagieren. Sie haben so ein starkes Rennen gezeigt. Es wird hier auf den letzten Schlägen entschieden.
Into the final few strokes, and I think it might be to the Dutch, the European champions, who just miss out on the A final here. The Irish are going to take that first spot. They came charging through. Great Britain will take the second spot, and through the line, I think it's the Netherlands just ahead of Germany into the A final. Oh, that would be a disappointment for that German crew who led all the way down the course. I'm going to wait till it comes up on my screen to confirm that for you, but from my eye, the Dutch just over the Germans through to the A final. Then we look back. Lithuania will come through in 5th, and GB2 coming through in 6th. They will go through to the B final.
Und dieses extrem spannende zweite Halbfinale gewonnen haben die Iren vor den Briten. Und dann muss ich leider sagen, aus deutscher Sicht hat es nicht mehr ganz gereicht. Die Holländer haben sie wirklich auf der Ziellinie überholt. Also Rang 4 für Deutschland, für das deutsche Boot und damit der B-Final. Genauso wie für das litauische Boot und Großbritannien 2.
It was a courageous race from the Germans, but it was just not enough at the end. The Dutch just claimed that third spot through to the A final. The Germans just missing out there in the sprint, but what a fantastic race again in the second A-B semifinal of the men's double sculls. They're coming fast and furious this morning. We go on to the repechage of the men's 4. Starting from lane 1, we have Italy, Switzerland 1, Netherlands 2, Ireland, Switzerland 2 and Netherlands 1.
Und wir kommen zum Hoffnungslauf im Männervierer ohne. Ein mit Spannung erwartetes Rennen aus Schweizer Sicht. Gleich 2 Schweizer Boote sind da dabei. Einerseits Schweiz 1 auf Bahn 2 und andererseits Schweiz 2 auf Bahn 5.
So in the middle of the course, this second Dutch crew out to the early lead as they come up to the 850-meter mark.
Yes, and there's a hugely enthusiastic supporter on the banks of the Rothsee. We can hear them from the far side of the lake screaming, but I'm not sure who for. But what a great performance here from the Netherlands 2 boat. This boat, well, strong starters we know from the heats, and certainly they're up for a race, but it's the Italians challenging them at the moment. Very characteristic for the Italians, 40 strokes a minute being set in the stroke seat by Matteo Castaldo, and they draw level with the Netherlands 2 as as they head through 1,000. It's then absolutely equal between Switzerland 1, Ireland and the Dutch first boat. Perhaps not so much of a surprise for those that have been following the Dutch progressions, but all of those crews, I think, just tailing by a length behind those top two qualification spots to the A final.
Etwas nach der 1000-Meter-Marke ist es das Boot aus Italien. Die Vize-Weltmeister von 2018 haben die Führung hier übernommen vor dem holländischen Boot, vor dem zweiten holländischen Boot, welches hier das erste Boot mächtig unter Druck setzt und momentan auf dem zweiten Platz rudert.
Well, it's now the Italians that take charge of this race. They look back at the rest of the field. The fourth place boat from the World Championships back in 2019, Tim, just starting to take hold of this race over the young Dutch crew.
Yes, Camilla, again we see a crew from Italy moving in the third quarter of this race, and they have done so with the clear intention to get out in front and be secure and go to the A final. But I'm surprised to see that Dutch second crew with Rick Rinks in the stroke seat. They led off yesterday in their heat. They were very quick in the first 1500 and then they faded in the last quarter. So I'm worried to see them in second position with the very quick finishing Swiss crew right beside them and ready to take their A final spot of that second Dutch crew. The first Dutch crew looking a bit ragged, rowing with Amos Keizer, not the smoothest of crews with a substitute on board, but they are really motoring down towards the finish, so it's everything to play for. Italy look very good, set to the A final, but who's going to get that all-important last place into the A final, Gillian?
Yeah, the Swiss are leaving it quite late if they still want to get back on this Dutch crew. And the Dutch have shifted again. This second Dutch crew, the young crew there, they've actually taken a bit of ground back from the Swiss. So coming through to the line, it's looking like Italy just ahead of the second Dutch crew. Switzerland desperately trying to get back.
Und in Führung in diesem Rennen bereits nur noch 200 Meter zu rudern sind die Italiener und dahinter das holländische Boot, das zweite Boot. Die Schweizer, die Crew mit Markus Kessler, Paul Schacko, Joel Schürch und Andri Gulich am Schlag, die haben wirklich da nochmal gespurtet im dritten 500er, aber sie müssen jetzt scheinbar dem zweiten holländischen Boot hier wirklich den Vortritt lassen ins A-Finale, weil es gibt nur 2 Plätze.
Oh, this is a courageous race from that young Dutch crew. They're actually moving back on the Italians as they come up towards the line. I think they're having the race of their lives here on the Rotsee. The Italians glance over and they're just wanting to keep their bow ball in front of the Dutch, but they've done enough to stay ahead of Switzerland. So coming across the line, it is the Netherlands too. I think just ahead of Italy. A good fist pump there from Jakob van der Kerkhoff into seat. Then the Swiss come across Switzerland 2. They will go through to the B final. Followed by Switzerland 1, Ireland and Italy. And Switzerland 2.
Und gewonnen wurde dieses Rennen mit einem beeindruckenden Schlussspurt noch vom zweiten holländischen Boot vor Italien und damit leider die A-Final-Qualifikation verpasst hat. Das erste Schweizer Boot. Im Rang 3 geht es ins B-Finale, Rang 4 für das erste holländische Boot, Rang 5 für Irland und im 6. Platz dann das zweite Schweizer Boot.
Just confirming those places there. Netherlands 2 coming through in first, going through to the A final, followed by Italy. Then we have Switzerland 1 coming through in third place. Netherlands 1 coming through in fourth. They will go through to the B final, followed by Ireland and Switzerland 2. Up next, the AB semifinals for the women's single sculls. In lane 1, the Netherlands. In lane 2, Great Britain. In lane 3, the United States of America. In lane 4, Ireland. In lane 5, Greece, and in lane 6, Mexico. These cruise through the 500-meter mark, and Kara Kohler of the United States out to the lead, the world bronze medalist there from the U.S., just leading the world champion Shnita Pushpura as they're in those center lanes as they come up on 650 meters in to this race. First three are going through to the A final, and they're coming up towards you, Camilla. How's it looking out there on the water?
It's brightened up quite a lot, Gillian, actually, and the sun's come out, but with that, the wind's actually picked up somewhat again. We're still experiencing this slight cross headwind that's coming across from lane 1 towards lane 6. I mean, it's barely causing a ripple here on the Rothsay, but it will still be much slower and much heavier for these single scullers coming towards us here now. As we enter the the guts of the second 500 meters, it's still Kara Kohler of the USA. Great to see her back racing here in Europe, the world bronze medalist from Linz, who is currently leading the world champion from that same race, Pushpura of Ireland. It's great to see these two head to head in this semi-final. I'm sure we will see them contesting for the medals tomorrow, but it's just who's going to claim that third spot. It's currently Leander's Victoria Thornley racing for Great Britain here, who finished off the podium beneath these two athletes here at Linz. So these three currently with clear water ahead of the young Benthe Boonstra of the Netherlands. It's then Maria Kiridou of Greece that sits in fifth ahead of Mexico's Kenya Lechuga in lane number 6. But 1,000 metres gone. It's half a length for Kara Kohler over Pushpura of Ireland and Thornley of Great Britain.
Ja, es sind die 3 Favoritinnen in diesem Rennen im Frauen-Einer im ersten Halbfinale und vorne an der Spitze des Feldes ist es ganz eng zwischen Sanita Pushpura und Kara Kohler. Auf dem 3. Rang momentan Victoria Thornley. Diese 3 Boote konnten sich jetzt schon deutlich absetzen vom Rest des Feldes mit den Niederlanden, Griechenland und Mexiko.
Looking quite tough out there, actually, for current 4th place, Boonstra of the Netherlands. She's just struggling a little bit into the wind. She's shortened up now to 33 strokes a minute, and it's just allowing the leading 3 to step away once again. And actually, I think the leading 3 scullers fairly set now as Sanita Pushpura takes the lead. Kara Kohler looks unfazed, though. I think, to be honest, these 3 scullers will be thinking about their race plan for tomorrow's final as well, just keeping each other in check, as there's a fairly definite clear water gap back to the trailing 3 scullers, Tim.
Yeah, the damage has been done, Camilla. I think in the second quarter and now coming into the third quarter, it's clear 3 front runners with Sanita Pushpura from Ireland, the reigning world champion, looking to her right and seeing the rest of the field with Kara Kohler and Victoria Thornley just having a small agreement, I think, not to sprint towards the line and not make life too difficult for themselves in this semi-final. But it's great to see this class of the field looking forward already to the A final tomorrow. But I think with 600 meters left to row, it is currently Victoria Thornley of Great Britain in the lead, followed very closely by the 2 other front runners from the USA and Ireland. On the far side from my commentary position, you can see Benthe Boonstra from the Netherlands dropping back. She has shortened up a bit, but she's still, I think, in 3rd or 4th place with I think that is Maria Kiridou of Greece having a great race too, but well behind the 3 front runners. As I think it is still Greece in 4th position with Benthe Boonstra currently in 5th, and the sculler from Mexico, Jejo Analis from Mexico, just passing my commentary position. But coming towards you, Gillian, it's the 3 front runners from Great Britain, the USA and Ireland.
Yeah, a nice little push there from Vicky Thornley to get her bow ball into the lead. Kara Kohler just dropping back slightly, but as you mentioned already, I think these 3 know that they're set to go through to the A final, and they're just taking it a little bit easier, saving some of their strength for tomorrow's A final, and looking around just to double check where the Dutch and the Greek sculler are sitting back there in the 4th and 5th positions. But they're coming towards the red buoys, and it's still Vicky Thornley out to the lead ahead of Sanita Pushpura of Ireland and Kara Kohler of the US.
Und das Führungstrio ist jetzt in den roten Bojen, das heißt noch 250 Meter sind zu rudern für Victoria Thornley, die Britin hier in Führung, ganz knapp vor Sanita Puspure und ein bisschen zurück jetzt, also minim, ist Cara Kohler aus den USA. Diese 3 Boote, die sind sehr routinierte Frauen, Athletinnen, sie wissen, dass es sehr gut aussieht für diese Finalqualifikation und sie teilen sich jetzt die Rennen auch ein, schlagen nicht mehr ganz so hoch. Cara Kohler aus den USA hat im Moment eine Schlagzahl 29, also da wird vielleicht auch ein bisschen Energie gespart für das A-Finale. Dahinter gibt es aber eigentlich noch einen ziemlich erbitterten Kampf um diesen 4. Rang zwischen der holländischen und der griechischen Athletin am Schluss des Feldes Mexiko.
Sanita Puspure just raising the rate slightly, but I don't think it's enough to get past Victoria Thornley for Great Britain coming across in first through to the A final, followed by world champion Sanita Puspure of Ireland and Cara Kohler of the United States. Those 3 through to the A final. Then a nice little tussle here between Bente Boonscha of the Netherlands and Maria Kiridou of Greece. 2 very young scullers out there on the water. The Dutch comes across just ahead of the Greek sculler. They will go through to the B final. We'll look forward to that race tomorrow, and they'll be joined by Kenia Lechuga Alanis of Mexico.
Und das Rennen gewonnen, diesen ersten Halbfinale im Frauen-Einer, hat Victoria Thornley vor Sanita Puspure, der aktuellen Weltmeisterin, und Cara Kohler. Diese 3 Boote gehen ins A-Finale. Rang 4 für die Athletin aus Holland, Rang 5 für Griechenland und 6 für Mexiko.
On the course now, the second AB semi-final of the women's single sculls. In lane 1, Belarus. In lane 2, Switzerland 1. Lane 3, Austria. Lane 4, Russia. Lane 5, China. And lane 6, Serbia.
Und für die Schweiz auf Bahn 2 in diesem zweiten Halbfinale Janine Gmelin, gleich neben ihr Magdalena Lobnig aus Österreich auf Bahn 3.
They're coming your way. Kamila and Hanna Prokotsin of Russia is out to the lead.
Yeah, Hanna Prokotsin of Russia has just been going from strength to strength this season, starting off with that great win at the European Olympic qualification regattas. She then stepped on to win the European title in Varese, and here she is now leading the very experienced Magdalena Lobnig of Austria. We're used to seeing Lobnig battle it out with the likes of Janine Gmelin, who sits now back in 4th position behind Tatiana Klimovic of Belarus. But we know that Gmelin can be a slow starter, and as she does start to move, she's going to take the Chinese sculler with her. These 3 crews, China, Switzerland and Belarus, all fighting it out for that final slot through to the A final through halfway behind Russia and Austria.
Während die Positionen im ersten Halbfinale relativ schnell vergeben waren, ist es in diesem Rennen noch viel offener. Zwar führt die Russin Hanna Prokotsin das Rennen deutlich an vor Magdalena Lobnig, aber um den 3. Platz tobt ein Kampf zwischen der Schweiz, zwischen Janine Gmelin und der Weißrussin Tatiana Klimovic, aber auch die Chinesin Chang Yang ist noch ganz gut im Rennen, und es wird interessant sein, welche Athletinnen sich hier für das A-Finale qualifizieren können.
Well, it's certainly not over yet. I think Prokotsin, the strongest athlete in this field, the 28-year-old, can control the race behind her. I wouldn't put it past Magdalena Lobnig to throw everything at it to be up there at the front of the field. But the race for 3rd, my word, isn't this interesting? As Janine Gmelin on home waters pulls up alongside Tatiana Klimovic and Zhong Yon of China. This is a great race once again, Tim.
Definitely, with the reigning European champion from the Russian Federation way out in front. She was the quickest in her heat by quite some margin compared to the other athletes in this semi-final. But she's really, we've grown used to it so quickly in the last couple of regattas that to see Prokotsin in the front of every women's single scull race at these events. She's rowing relatively, she always has a very low rate of striking, approaching just 30 strokes a minute coming from the powerful Russian athlete. And it's good to see that I think it's Magdalena Lobnik now trying to move with the Russian sculler. She's currently in second position, but it's a great tussle on the far side. From my commentary position, we can see the sculler for Klimovic from Belarus win. I think she's just about in third spot, but the local favorite Janine Gemelin from is in fourth, and don't count out the Chinese sculler very close to me here, also just a couple of tenths behind. So 1 and 2 seem to be clear for the A final. That's going to be Prakatsen and Lobnik, but will the local favorite Gemelin sprint towards the line and claim the last spot into the A final, Gillian?
Oh, I have my Swiss co-commentator here next to me looking very nervously at the screen, trying to see if Janine Gemelin can get into that A final spot. But I'm not sure about it because the Chinese sculler Jian Yan has made a huge push here through the third quarter of the race. She's trying to secure that third spot, and Janine Gemelin is going to have a lot of work to do in the final sprint. But it's looking very safe for Hanna Prakatsen and Magdalena Lobnik out in front.
Es sind noch 250 Meter zu rudern und was für ein Rennen. Vorne sieht es gut aus für die Russin und Magdalena Lobnik aus Österreich. Es sieht auch sehr gut aus im zweiten Rang. Aber dahinter, Janine Gemelin ist ganz knapp, aber es ist ein halber Luftkasten hinter der Chinesin. Und sie gibt jetzt nochmal, sie hat die Schlagzahl auf 36 erhöht. Sie hat den höheren Boatspeed, da kann die Chinesin jetzt aber gleich ausgleichen. Und auch die Belarusin ist noch nicht geschlagen. Aber hier wird es ganz eng um diesen dritten Platz. Aber Janine Gemelin hat sich jetzt auf die gleiche Höhe wie die Chinesin geschoben. Also es geht hier Bug um Bug oder Bug an Bug um diese Finalqualifikation. Gillian, bring uns das Neueste.
Janine Gemelin just taking her rate up to 37 strokes a minute. The Chinese sculler Jian Yan up at 37 strokes a minute. They're on opposite sides of the course from each other. They're trying to look across. Magdalena Lobnik in the center of them. But Hanna Prakatsen, no doubt about it, she will come through in that first spot through to the A final. Magdalena Lobnik coming through in second. And I think Janine Gemelin is just going to do it at the line, but it's going to be very close as they come up through the line. I can't call that between the Chinese sculler Jian Yan and Janine Gemelin of Switzerland across the line. Tatiana Klimovic of Belarus definitely coming through in fifth there. She will go through to the B final, joined by Jovana Arsic of Sweden. But I'm waiting for that. Janine Gemelin has done it. She went through in third, just a fraction of a second ahead of Jian Yan of China, who will have to contest the B final.
Was für ein Halbfinale, dieses zweite Halbfinale im Frauen-Einer gewonnen von Hanna Prakatsen aus Russland vor Magdalena Lobnik, die ein ganz starkes Rennen gezeigt hat. Und dann hat Janine Gemelin es geschafft. Sie hat sich hier wieder voll ins Rennen reingelegt und im Schlussspurt die Differenz geschafft zur Chinesin. Sie wird Dritte und damit ist sie morgen im A-Final hier auf dem Rotsee. China mit dem 4. Rang und Belarus und Serbien gehen damit ins B-Finale.
On the course now, the first of two AB semifinals in the men's single sculls. In lane 1, Belarus. Lane 2, Lithuania 1. 3, Greece. Lane 4, Norway 1. Lane 5, Lithuania 2. And lane 6, Belgium. They're already up at the 1,000-meter mark. So, Camilla, what do you see out there on the water?
Well, time and time again, the story of Stefanos Natuskas out in front, and it's being told once again here in the AB semi-final. He leads Kjetil Borch, the former world champion from Norway, by half a length through the 1,000 metres, and then it's the fight between the spoilt Lithuanians, spoilt for choice in this single scull, as Ritter goes head-to-head with Griškonis through the 1,000, absolutely dead level.
Ja, es sieht sehr gut aus für den Griechen Stefanos Natuskas, welcher hier das Rennen anführt, aber es ist noch gar nichts entschieden. Auf dem zweiten Platz ist Kjetil Borch, der Weltmeister von 2018. Auf Rang 3 und 4 machen sich die beiden Litauer breit und sie haben ein heißes Rennen um die Finalqualifikation. Momentan sieht es besser aus für Mindaugas Griskonis, aber es ist nur etwa eine knappe Länge auf seinen Landsmann Saulius Ritter. Von dem her, es wird sehr spannend sein, wie sich das Rennen hier entwickeln wird.
Well, as the Lithuanians fight it out amongst themselves, I think it does look like it's Griškonis just pulling into third position out at the front of the field. We have a new leader, Kjetil Borch, for Norway, the 31-year-old now just showing his experience ahead of the 24-year-old Greek Stefanos Nitouskas. And yeah, I think to be expected, Tim, these leading pair.
Definitely, Camilla, and it's no surprise to see Kjetil Borch coming to the front of the field at the end of the third quarter. As we've seen him done several times, he's not the quickest out of the blocks, but he really hammers down in the second kilometer of this race. But still 4 boats in contention, but just as I say that, it's a little bit wobbly coming from Nitouskas from Greece, and he's dropping back. So that might be race over and done and dusted for the 3 spots into the A final, with Kjetil Borch in the lead and Ritter and Griskonis in second and third. And that's so pity to see that Nitouskas didn't have the strength to make it to the finish in the position he was in for such a long time of the race. And going back, just passing my position is the crew from Belarus and Belgium, so they're out of it. But yeah, Kjetil Borch, as we expect, out in front and onto the A final.
That's right, Tim, and I'm not quite sure what happened there for the Greek sculler. He just all of a sudden started dropping back, losing boat speed, and the Lithuanian Saulius Ritter managed to pass him from Lithuania 1, Lithuania 2. Mindaugas Griskonis already out there in the lead, but we'll have to see the Stefanos Nitouskas in the B final of the men's single sculls as they come into the last 150 meters of this race.
Und Kjetil Borch hier 200 Meter noch zu rudern in diesem Halbfinale in Führung vor den beiden Booten aus Litauen, die allesamt am Griechen vorbeigezogen sind, der sich jetzt zurückfallen lassen muss. Und diese beiden Litauer, die hier den Weg ins A-Finale beschreiten, das freut natürlich auch ein Schweizer ganz besonders hier am Ufer, Werner Zwimpfer. Er ist da seit vielen Jahren sehr engagiert im litauischen Team und eine wunderbare Leistung, da 2 Athleten in diesem A-Final zu haben.
Kjetil Borch just tapping his boat along here. He knows he will go through to the A final in the men's single sculls. He'll be joined together with Mindaugas Griskonis of Lithuania 2 and Saulius Ritter of Lithuania 1. Coming through in fourth, Stefanos Nitouskas of Greece. He will head through to the B final, and then he'll be joined there by Belgians Tristan van de Busche and Belarus's Pilip Pavuku.
Und gewonnen hat das Rennen Kjetil Borch aus Norwegen vor Mindaugas Griskonis und Saulius Ritter aus Litauen. Diese 3 Boote damit im A-Finale. Rang 4 für den Griechen, Rang 5 für Belarus und Rang 6 für Belgien.
So on the course now, the second AB semi-final of the men's single sculls. There was a faulty start in this race. No yellow card awarded, but we're just a few minutes delayed. They're on the course now, but we catch up with them at the very early stages of the race in this AB semi-final. So in lane 1, we have the Czech Republic. In lane 2, Italy 2. In lane 3, Denmark. In lane 4, Germany 1. In lane 5, Japan. And in lane 6, Ireland. And now they are underway in the second AB semifinal of this men's single sculls. Just getting a very quick start out there from the young Italian Gennaro Di Mauro for Italy too. He was up there at 51 strokes per minute off the starting line and just edging his nose out ahead of course, the world champion and world silver medalist in the lanes next to him, Ollie Zeidler and Sverre Nielsen. But we'll expect to see these positions shift around a little bit, I think, as we head towards the 500-meter mark.
Und die Boote sind gestartet in diesem zweiten Halbfinale im Männer-Einer. Und am schnellsten gestartet ist der junge Italiener Gennaro Di Mauro. Er ist noch 19 Jahre alt und hat bisher schon eine sehr starke Vorstellung gezeigt an dieser Regatta. Er führt mit gleich den Bahnen nebenan den Weltmeister und Vize-Weltmeister. Jetzt gerade die Führung übernommen hat Sverre Nielsen, aber auch Oliver Zeidler ist da in diesem Führungstrio drin, aber noch sind natürlich alle Boote ganz nah beieinander.
So Sverre Nielsen just making a little bit of his move here as he settles into his race pace, coming down to 37 strokes a minute and gaining a bit of boat speed there. Ollie Zeidler in the lane next to him, trying to go with him as they approach the 500-meter mark. And then this young Gennaro Di Mauro of Italy. He was fourth at the Junior World Championships back in 2019, and he's having a fantastic regatta here on the Rothsee, staying with some of these older, more experienced scullers. Of course, in lane one next to him, Ondrej Cinik of the Czech Republic, the five-time world champion there from the Czech Republic. But Ondrej Cinik currently in that sixth spot as they come across the 500-meter mark. Sverre Nielsen, the first to lead there with Ollie Zeidler just behind him.
Und die Boote haben die 500-Meter-Marke passiert und am schnellsten gelungen ist dies Sverre Nielsen. Er führt das Rennen an vor Oliver Zeidler und dem jungen Italiener, soeben erwähnt Gennaro Di Mauro. Im vierten Platz dann Irland vor Japan und Tschechien.
So we'll expect Ollie Zeidler to make his move through the middle of the race. He has the long, powerful strokes. He usually has a bit of a sluggish start and then really makes his move as they come through the middle section of the race. As I'm talking, he's just trying to push up on Sverre Nielsen, but it'll be a nice race to watch these two go down the course with the Italian currently in that third spot. They're heading towards you, Camilla, and how do you see it from your perspective?
Well, you don't get much better than watching the world champion and the world silver medalist go up against each other in a semi-final, and that's exactly what we've got here with Zeidler and Nielsen. But it's Nielsen at the moment, the silver medalist from Linz, that's got the better of Zeidler, who just didn't quite get the start that he's been used to over the last few regattas. He's really been working on getting out at the head of the field and then just dominating. So it's in most recent championships rare for him to have to try and come from behind. And the young, brave Italian Gennaro Di Mauro is still sat in third position, but it's Dara Lynch for Ireland that's now trying to push up alongside, and along with the Japanese sculler and Ondrej Cinik as well, just out the back of the field. It's a race of two halves as Sverre Nielsen gets his bow ball over the 1,000-meter marker, a few centimetres ahead of Zeidler. It's then Di Mauro of Italy, just one length back on these leading two scullers, who's being charged down by Lynch and Arakawa of Japan, with Cinik surprisingly out the back.
Im zweiten Halbfinale des Männer-Einers ist es Sverre Nielsen, welcher die ersten 1000 Meter als schnellster zurückgelegt hat. Aber Ollie Zeidler hat soeben seinen ersten großen Spurt begonnen und nun auch die Führung im Rennen übernommen. Auf dem dritten Rang ist momentan der junge Italiener Gennaro Di Mauro, welcher hier ein sehr gutes Rennen fährt, aber es ist noch nichts entschieden, denn der Irländer Dara Lynch ist ebenfalls nur etwa eine Länge von ihm entfernt. Am Schluss des Feldes, sehr überraschend, der fünffache Weltmeister und dreifache Olympiamedaillengewinner Ondrej Cinik.
Well, the 24-year-old world champion Zeidler running true to form through this third 500 metres as he snatches the lead away from the man. Very proud of his heritage in the Faroe Islands, Tim. Sverre Nielsen, these two currently leading the young Italian Gennaro Di Mauro. But that great race on our near side here in lanes 5 and 6 between Japan and Ireland, just pushing up onto this top three here.
Yeah, definitely, Camilla. It's been a great race, and we can see the experienced hands of Sverre Nielsen now looking to his left, looking towards Oliver Zeidler, and thinking about what he's going to do in the last 500 meters. I think it is possible for Sverre Nielsen just to row this last 500 meters and not sprint for the line to secure a spot in the A final. But as I say that, I see a little move coming from Ollie Zeidler to get in front and shake off the Danish competitor. But still a very good race from Gennaro Di Mauro from Italy, the young sculler. He looks to me still to be in second or in third position, and that would be a great performance from him if he can make it into the A final with these big guys, with the reigning world champion and the reigning silver medalist from 2019, Ollie Zeidler, and Sverre Nielsen, Gillian.
Yeah, that's right, Tim. But we're going to have to keep an eye on the Japanese and the Irish scullers in lanes 5 and 6 because they're making huge pushes together. They've raced this whole race together in lanes 5 and 6, and they're now pushing back from that young sculler, Gennaro Di Mauro of Italy. And I think it might be Japan or Ireland who might clinch that third spot into the A final.
Und 200 Meter vor dem Ziel, mitten in den roten Bojen, sieht es ganz gut aus für Oliver Zeidler. Er kann dieses Rennen hier von vorne bestreiten in den letzten Metern vor Sverre Nielsen. Aber dahinter hat sich Spannendes ergeben. Für Gennaro Di Mauro reicht es nicht mehr. Im Sprint vorbeigeschoben haben sich der Japaner und der Ire. Und diese beiden Boote, die machen es jetzt auch unter sich aus. Wer diesen dritten Platz holt, der junge Italiener, muss sich leider aus diesem Rennen um die A-Final-Qualifikation verabschieden.
Ollie Zeidler out in front, Sverre Nielsen just behind him, but what a courageous race from Dara Lynch of Ireland. He's out there on the far side away from us in the finish tower, and he's just overtaken the Japanese sculler. He will take that third spot into the A final. So across the line, Ollie Zeidler in that first spot through to the A final. Sverre Nielsen comes through in second, and Dara Lynch of Ireland will take the third spot through to the A final ahead of the Japanese sculler Ryuta Arakawa and Gennaro Di Mauro, the young Italian sculler, just tapping it across the line now. A fantastic race from him here on the Rote. He will go through to the B final together with Andrej Sinek of the Czech Republic.
Ganz überzeugender Auftritt von Oliver Zeidler, der hier dieses Halbfinale vor Sverre Nielsen gewinnt. Und dann der dritte Platz, Dara Lynch aus Irland. Er hat diesen Spurt gegen den Japaner gewonnen und im vierten Platz dann Gennaro Di Mauro, der ein sehr engagiertes Rennen gezeigt hat, auch ein sehr starkes Rennen, aber sich jetzt mit dem 5. Platz und B-Finale begnügen muss vor Andrej Sinek.
Now on the course, the first AB semi-final of the lightweight men's double sculls. In lane 1, Belgium 2. In lane 2, Chile. In lane 3, Germany. In lane 4, Italy. In lane 5, Poland. And in lane 6, Switzerland.
Und wir haben im ersten Halbfinale im Männer-Leichtgewichtsdoppel-Zweier das junge Schweizer Boot mit Can Struzina und Rafael Aumeda auf der Bahn 6.
They're coming up towards the 900-meter mark, and the Italians and the Germans out there in the center lanes, Camilla.
Yeah, these two have had a long-fought battle since the Worlds in 2019, and they've been exchanging blows ever since. And at the moment, the Italians trying to get their own back for the Germans beating them at the European Championships. They're 3/4 of a length ahead at the moment. Stefano Oppo taking them through at 39 strokes a minute ahead of Osborne and Rommelmann. Jason Osborne, of course, the world e-cycling champion, who will be sort of stepping back from rowing after the Tokyo Olympics to go into cycling. But these two crews well clear, a class act ahead of the rest of the field. But it's then Belgium's Thibaut Vivet and Marlon Coppart, and going up head-to-head with the home favourites here.
Schweizer mit Can Struzina und Raphael Aumada. Sie sind ganz gut im Rennen. Sie sind momentan auf Platz 3 oder 4, ganz knapp mit dem zweiten belgischen Boot, etwa auf einer Höhe. Und es wird interessant, ob sich das Schweizer Boot zum zweiten Mal für ein Weltcup-Final qualifizieren könnten. Gerade erst in Zagreb vor ein paar Wochen haben sie den 5. Platz belegt, ganz knapp hinter Schweiz 1. Die beiden jungen Schweizer also auf dem aufstrebenden Ast. An der Spitze des Feldes ist es immer noch das Boot von Italien mit Ruta und Oppo, welches das Rennen anführt. Auf dem zweiten Rang Jason Osborne und Jonathan Rommelmann.
So Oppo and Ruta leading the way ahead of Osborne and Rommelmann, Italy versus Germany. But this would be great if the home crowds were here. We'd currently be hearing the cowbells for Switzerland in third, Tim.
Yeah, but I think there will be some cowbells either way because there are some people walking past, and there is some verbal encouragement coming from the banks to the crew from Switzerland. But they still have a lot of work to do to get into the A final because they're currently in 4th position, being led by Italy, Germany, and the second Belgium crew in lane number 1. So everything. So they have a lot of work to do in the final sprint to the line, but I think they have a good chance of snatching that last spot into the A final.
Yeah, they might just be able to do it, Tim. I'm not quite sure. The Belgians with the slightly better boat speed at this stage in the race, but there's no doubt about the leaders from Italy and Germany, but we'll watch closely for that third spot through to the A final.
Und in Führung die 2 Boote aus Italien und Deutschland, Jonathan Rommelmann und Jason Osborne, ganz knapp eine halbe Luftkassenlänge hinter den Italienern aktuell. Aber aus Schweizer Sicht interessiert natürlich vor allem das Duell zwischen Belgien und dem Schweizer Boot. Und es sind noch 200 Meter zu rudern und Can Struzina und Raphael Aumada müssen jetzt wirklich die Schlagzahl hochnehmen, wenn sie da noch mal rankommen wollen. Sie haben den gleichen Bootspeed, ganz leicht sogar als die Belgier. Das wird ganz, ganz schwierig.
So coming up to the line, Italy just maintaining that slightly ahead of Germany. But as I say that, Germany making a little bit of a push. They want to have that better lane for the A final. The Germans like to sprint to the finish line, and Italy just deciding maybe not to go with them as they come up towards the line. Germany looking set to take that first spot through to the A final. Italy will go through to the A final from that second position. And then that third race, I think it's going to go for the Belgians here. The Swiss just not quite enough there in the sprint, but fantastic stuff from both of these young crews out there on the water. Belgium, too, will take that third spot through to the A final. Switzerland will go through to the B final, and they will be joined there by Poland and Chile.
Und mit ihrem Sprint zur Ziellinie hat das deutsche Boot diesen Halbfinal erfolgreich gestaltet und gewonnen vor dem Boot aus Italien. Und danach ganz eine enge Entscheidung, die zugunsten von Belgien ausgefallen ist. Damit das junge Schweizer Boot im 4. Rang und im B-Finale. Nach dieser starken Vorstellung. Polen im 5. und Chile im 6. Rang werden ebenfalls den B-Final bestreiten.
Storming this way is the second AB semifinal of the lightweight men's double sculls. In lane 1, the United States of America. Lane 2, China. Lane 3, Norway 1. Lane 4, Ireland. Lane 5, Belgium 1. And lane 6, Portugal 1. No surprise to see the world champions from Ireland out there in the lead, but it's going to be a tight race behind them, Camilla.
Yeah, I think it will be a tight race behind them for second, certainly. But this Irish crew, nobody can touch them. Absolutely untouchable. Paul O'Donovan and Fintan McCarthy here in the centre lane. They've got a length over Belgium and Norway that fight it out for second spot, but they don't look challenged at all. They're at 37 strokes a minute. They've just taken it down actually to 36 as I speak, looking very composed. But it's going to be a head-on here between Bries and Van Zandweger of Belgium, Brun and Stranley, the experienced combination from Norway. But I think that will be our top 3 as it's clear water back then to the USA that sit in 4th.
Ja, im zweiten Halbfinale des Männerleichtgewichts-Doppelzweiers ist das Rennen bei 1000 Meter schon etwas zweigeteilt, nämlich mit den Booten Irland, Norwegen und Belgien auf den ersten 3 Plätzen und Portugal, China und die USA auf den Plätzen 4 bis 6. Die Iren machen einen fantastischen Job an der Spitze des Feldes und fahren konstant den beiden oder den anderen 5 Booten davon. Aber es sieht auch sehr gut aus bei den Belgiern. Ihre Kollegen im ersten Halbfinale haben sich gerade eben für den Weltcup-Final qualifiziert und es sieht so aus, dass zum ersten Mal in der Geschichte des Weltcups 2 belgische Leichtgewichts-Doppelzweier im Finale stehen werden.
Such a pleasure to see the best lightweight double scull in the world currently in Ireland. The men from Skibbereen lead the way down the course, but who's got the better of that race for second and third, Tim?
It's going to be very close, Camilla. That first Belgium crew with Van Zandwegen and Bries in the stroke seat, currently in second position, but not by much. It's half a boat length advantage for the Belgians by the fast-starting Norwegian crew, who went out early into the lead. They actually were first at the first 500-meter mark, but then they got rowed through by the superior Irish crew, who are just hammering along every single stroke, laying it down there, 37 strokes a minute, and they have the highest boat speed. Going with them is the crew from LW1, so I think that Belgian crew is secure in second position. Third would be Norway then, and on the far side the American crew are having the better of the argument over the Chinese and the Portugal double. But that crew from Ireland, yeah, such a class crew, the reigning European and world champions, storming through the A final.
They really do seem to be unstoppable, this crew from Ireland, Paul O'Donovan and Fintan McCarthy. That little switch up in the Irish duo a couple of years back to put Fintan McCarthy in that seat, but it seems to be working very well for them as they're here out in the lead on the Rotsee, just ahead of Belgium and Norway.
Und es sieht ganz gut aus für dieses absolut überzeugende Duo aus Irland. Paul O'Donovan, Fintan McCarthy, sie drücken diesem Rennen den Stempel auf und sind hier in Führung vor dem Boot aus Belgien und den Norwegern. Dahinter ein enges Rennen um die weiteren Plätze.
So coming up to the line for the Irish, looking very content to take that first spot into the A final. They'll be followed by the crew from Belgium, Niels van Zandwegen and Tim Bries, into the A final. And Norway's Christopher Brun and Ars Stranley follow them through in that third slot. Then we look back to the rest of the field. The USA will take the fourth position. They'll go through to the A final, and they will be joined by China and Portugal 1.
Das zweite Halbfinale im Männerleichtgewichtsdoppelzweier wird gewonnen von Irland vor Belgien und Norwegen. Diese 3 Boote stehen damit im A-Finale. Rang 5 für die USA, Rang 6 Portugal und Rang 5 Portugal und Rang 6 China.
On the course now, the last race of this morning session, the repechage of the men's quadruple sculls. In lane 1, Germany. In lane 2, China. In lane 3, Great Britain. In lane 4, Poland. And in lane 5, the Czech Republic. Camilla, how does it look from your perspective?
Yeah, another race and the last race of this morning session not to come last. And, well, it's very difficult to tell who is going to come last at this point. But I tell you who is having a great race. That's Poland in lane number 4. A wonderful start for them. They're a length up on the 4 boats that you could lay a blanket across. I think Great Britain perhaps just got the best of Germany going through the 1,000 in second and third. But the Czech Republic right up there. China a quarter of a length back. Maybe not even that. Back in 5th, but China will certainly not want to be in that hot seat.
Ja, während die Polen hier das Feld anführen, ist es dahinter ganz eng. Nur ein Boot wird nicht ins A-Finale kommen und im Moment sieht es so aus, dass es entweder das Boot aus China ist oder die Tschechische Republik, welche hier nicht mehr weiterfahren können morgen.
So it was actually, in fact, Germany that went through the halfway in that second spot, but it was so close. Great Britain in third. It was then the Czech Republic in fourth, and yeah, just that bit further back, China in fifth. But I'm sure they won't settle for that. And so much pressure, Tim, on this kind of race where you just cannot come last.
No, definitely not, Camilla. It's an exciting race, and still all crews in contention. The speeds are very high in this men's quad, but the silver medalist from Linz, the Polish crew, still in front of this race, but they feel the pressure coming from that old Leander Club crew from Great Britain right beside them, half a length down, as is the crew from Germany on the far side from my commentary position. And China actually recovering well in the third quarter to get into fourth position, and now it's the Czech Republic under pressure as they pass the 1500 meter mark in fifth position, and that's bad news for them. So they have to raise their rate, currently still at 38 strokes a minute. So they have another change of gear to go to, and that would be good if they would move to the front of the field. But because they are now not into the A final, still Poland ahead, but the field is closing up. Great Britain having a great push with 250 meters left to row.
Yeah, it's all closing up here into the final stages of this race, and it looks like it's the Czechs just dropping off the back of the pack. They're China. They were sixth back at the World Championships in 2019, and they're using that experience here just to move their way up the field and drop the Czech Republic back off the end of the pack. But it's all tightening up as they come into the final strokes of this race.
Ja, und noch wenige 100 Meter sind zu rudern und die Briten sind aktuell vorne, aber das ist alles beieinander und das deutsche Boot hat sich auch ganz nach vorne geschoben. Es ist ein Bug-an-Bug-Kampf zwischen Großbritannien, den Deutschen und Polen um den Sieg. Aber es geht ja vor allem darum, auch nicht Letzter zu werden, weil das letzte Boot, das wird sich nicht fürs A-Finale qualifizieren. Und im Moment sieht es so aus, als ob die Tschechische Republik hier den Cut nicht schafft.
Great Britain just overhauled the Polish, and I think the Germans did as well. China will come through in fourth, and the Czech Republic just being dropped off the back of the pack. Here they will not go through to the A final, but I'll wait to confirm those positions for you. A very tight race here in the repechage of the men's quadruple sculls. Great Britain went through in first, Germany second, Poland came through in third, and China in fourth. Those fourth crews, we will see them back in tomorrow's A final racing for the medals.
Und damit die weiteren Finalisten sind bekannt. Großbritannien gewinnt vor Deutschland, Polen und China. Diese Feuerboote gehen also ins A-Finale im Männerdoppel-Vierer, Rang 5, und damit die Regatta zu Ende ist für Tschechien.
Thanks so much for listening in to this morning's racing. We had really fantastic racing here on the Rotsee, confirming all of the places for the finals later on this weekend. We will be back this afternoon with the B finals and then the A finals in the lightweight men's and lightweight women's single sculls. So the first medals will be awarded here on the Rotsee this afternoon, starting at 3 o'clock with the B final and 3:15 with the A finals.
Danke fürs Reinhören an diesem zweiten Tag der Lucerne Regatta. Was für Wettkämpfe haben wir heute Morgen gesehen. Und es geht auch heute Nachmittag dann bereits hochkarätig weiter und die ersten Medaillen werden vergeben. Um 15 Uhr starten die B-Finals und dann bereits 15:15 Uhr haben wir die A-Finals im Leichtgewichtsfrauen-Einer. Da ist ja Elin Roll auch dabei im A-Final und im Leichtgewichtsmänner-Einer.